For many drivers, there's a lot of challenges when it comes to short track racing. The ability to try and battle at certain types of tracks, in certain types of cars, and in certain types of setups. But what if there was a way to test all of that? Well, you've come to the right place. 4 tracks, 4 races are on the docket. Some of the best short track drivers in all of iRacing. And many more are all set for the biggest night on the smallest tracks. We're all set to see who will prevail in this unique event as we say good evening everyone and welcome to the Global SimRacing Channel's coverage of the 2020 Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series. I'm Justin Prince. Alongside of the virtual booth tonight is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director Sean Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Tonight's festivities will begin at the virtual Richmond Raceway, but the best way around this track, let's take a look at your GSRC lap guide for the first venue of 4 for tonight's races.
Welcome to Richmond Raceway. Richmond is known as the action track, and it's real easy to see how. The unique D-shaped oval allows drivers to reach a lot of speed into turn 1. Richmond has long been known as a short track that races like a super speedway. With its multiple racing grooves and a history of some beating and banging, Richmond is a fan favorite and driver favorite as well. The Little Virginia short track has 14 degrees of banking in the corners with 8 degrees awaiting the drivers on the front stretch. No matter what vehicle you drive here at Richmond, tight in the center is usually what you end up fighting the most, based around the fact that drivers are carrying such high speeds into the corners each and every single lap. Now the best drivers will be the ones that you're going to be seeing working the brake bias to adjust as the track temperature changes. If you find yourself racing in the baking Virginia sun, corner exit will be your worst enemy. When the sun comes up and brings those track temperatures with it, the grip level at Richmond absolutely plummets. Richmond has been around for quite a while, tracing its roots back to the beginnings of NASCAR. With a recent renovation, it's proud to be a NASCAR for quite some time, which isn't a bad thing if you ask me. This has been our guide to the Richmond Raceway. Sit back and enjoy the show.
That was a look at your GSRC lap guide for the virtual Richmond Raceway. As these drivers now get ready to start qualifying in the final moments of practice, let's bring my broadcast partner in DJ Clark. A unique event tonight, but first things first, let's talk about the first track on the slate for tonight's race and tonight's event. Richmond Raceway is all set to open up the evening.
Indeed it is, Justin, and welcome everybody to GSRC. Richmond is one of the greatest short tracks in America. Classic D oval, but only 0.75 miles. It is incredibly challenging with that only 14-degree banking. You've got to get some good corner exits. Make sure that you've got to be good and technical and get everything down. The low line around here may be the strongest way because of the decreased radius on the way around the corner, but do not be surprised if you see some guys trying on the high line, trying to keep that momentum up around it. But either way, it's going to be a heck of a race.
Can't wait to see who you can come away with some of the victories tonight. And speaking of tonight, it's a very unique event this evening. 4 races, 4 tracks, 30 minutes apart in each. Each race is 50 laps, in total up to 25 minutes to complete each race, starting off here at Richmond. Then the festivities move over to the virtual Stafford Speedway, then to Iowa, and lastly New Hampshire on the calendar, and the NASCAR Wheel and Tour Modifieds. These machines will also be battling for $100 overall for the grand prize to the race winner, to the overall winner in points totals. There'll also be $50 up for grabs per race, $25 for first, $15 for second, and $10 for third place for tonight. As well, when it comes to the point standing structure, it is expected to be treated in total like as to be expected a little bit in terms of golf, where the least amount of points is the most amount, is what you want to gain. 1 point for P1, 2 for P2, and so forth throughout tonight's event. The top 25 will make each of the races throughout this evening, meaning any drivers who do not qualify have the chance to get some extra practice time as a result, DJ, for the next race on the calendar and so forth. So it's not just as, okay, I didn't make the first event of the night, I'm done. You have the chance essentially to qualify your way into 4 different separate events throughout the evening.
That's right. These guys are treating this a lot like a standard short track race you'd see around the country, sort of heat racing style coming on into it. So it will be interesting to see if somebody doesn't make this first race at Richmond, what they'll be able to do at Stafford. It's going to be competitive. It's going to be tight. We've got some heavy hitters coming in this series of 4 races tonight. So be ready for some good action.
Talk about some of those big names in just a second, but as qualifying begins, I'd like to quickly ask, are you interested in advertising with GSRC? Shouts 1 million monthly global impressions are a great way to get your branding seen by a diverse audience. Follow the link in the description to the YouTube version of this broadcast to learn more about the Global SimRacing Channel. The track conditions tonight, under the lights just past 9 p.m. in Sim, 70 degrees, air temp 70 degrees is the track temp, winds very calm at the north to 1 mile an hour, fixed date and time of note, so weather not expected to change throughout this evening's festivities. The first event on the calendar tonight is sponsored as well by Souza Media and by Kyle Souza, who works at Seacook Speedway. You'll be watching along with intrigue tonight for the opening race on the calendar for this first ever event. Lots of big names as talked about to keep an eye on, including Dustin Monboyket, one of the well-known setup builders on the iRacing service, streamer Phil Bush expected to take the track in this first event, as well as drivers such as Kenny Zeems and many more for tonight, DJ.
Very, very much so. As we see everybody starting to go out, Kyle Dean right now top of the list with a nice time of a 20.651. Bailey Galinas right behind him, and Roswell Harlow, one of the guys you talked about, just jumping up there. This is going to be tight if you look at the top 3 separated by just thousandths of a second.
These drivers have 3 laps, 5 minutes to set solo qualifying laps, the fastest they can, but we're talking about some of the setups, and you're seeing some of the examples. They're a bit on edge for tonight. All the drivers in the same setup around this racetrack. So in other words, you have to have had a lot of practice time to know the very nuances of this racetrack. The least amount of preparation, the more likely you're going to be sliding.
Very much so, and the series has been good about putting up some practice sessions this week, and I've been lucky enough to be able to watch some of them. These setups are tailored in a specific way. They are made to be loose on corner entry. These Tour modifieds have about 612 horsepower, which means they're naturally twitchy coming out of the corners, but these setups are made to highlight that. So you really got to be careful. You got to be patient putting the throttle down, and you're going to have to see these guys really work it as they try to make it around these 4 tracks. It's going to be a test of driver, it's going to be a test of stamina, and it's going to be a test of patience.
New fastest time on the board. It's Kenny Zeems at the top of the board now. One of the well-known short track races on the service. Levi Cox now up to second. Tyler Wood, Bobby Dillon's Legacy Esports rounding out the top 3 on the qualifying board at the moment. Currently 29 drivers set to take part in the first event of the night. What are some of the things you're keeping an eye on, especially with 4 races back to back to back, to see which drivers may be comfortable, which drivers may have some ups and downs, which drivers may prefer one track or another? What are the things you're keeping an eye on, so to speak, as we welcome on Boyquet?
Well, as we watch them go around here, one of the things I'm going to be looking at is, frankly, a sense of repetition. Now, the third track we're going to go to is Iowa. Iowa is a almost carbon copy of the track we're currently at, Richmond Raceway. So drivers that do well here should do well at Iowa. Likewise, Stafford, a little bit shorter, but very similar in structure to New Hampshire. Flat banks, long straightaways. So it'll be interesting to see if that translation is going to happen from track to track with these drivers. I'm also going to be looking at guys not necessarily going for the win here, just trying to get the points down. Yes, you get a nice little prize bonus, and you get, obviously, the glory of winning if you're first, but this is a championship. This is 4 races. Look for guys not to make the Ayrton Senna dive bomb pass, wreckers or checkers kind of thing. Look for guys taking it slow, taking a second or a third to just keep on as many points as possible.
Final moments of qualifying as, again, Zeems, Cox, Wood, Dean, and Roswell Harlow round out the top 5. And keep in mind, many of these competitors are going to be having busy nights, not just with this event, but several are doing double or triple duty as well, DJ. Kenny Kibbe among those who are racing in BRL action later on tonight at the conclusion of this evening's festivities. Harlow as well competing in various different events tonight, including a super speedway race and FDF racing action. It's a busy night for these competitors, not just with this race, in this event.
It's a busy night indeed, as we've seen over the past couple of months with the COVID crisis, iRacing just getting more and more popular and more of these incredible series popping up. One of the things to look for with these guys is to see if there's any sort of weariness. Obviously, force feedback is going to be turned down a little bit, but we'll have to see.
Let's take a look at your starting grid for race 1 of the Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series. This race sponsored by Sousa Media. On the pole, it's Kenny Zeems alongside Levi Cox, with Tyler Wood starting the 3rd position. Around the top 4 positions, Kyle Dean, row number 3, features Roswell Harlow, along with Bailey Galinas. Rounding out the top 6, Ross Cato starts in 7th, Dustin Monboycat deep in the field in P8. Keep an eye on him as Kenny Kibbe will start in front of them, along with Jeff Maconi.
And lining up in the 11th position tonight is going to be Eric Stout. Alongside him, Trent Goodrow. In row 7, we have Corey Hallett, right side Philip Bush, Joseph Elert, and Trevor Vogel making up row 8. Mackenzie Galeja making up the 17th spot right alongside Matthew Hughes, Brett Nordstrom, and Jeffrey Wallace rounding up row 10.
Drivers who did not qualify: Ken Zeems, Dylan Kopech, keep an eye on him, one of the quicker drivers in practice, Charles Giddings, LeJohn Apgar along with Christopher Apgar. Apgar Esports, a big part of this event. We'll talk about that in a bit. Jason Matson, 26, Jason Hand, Thomas Ekstrom, keep an eye on him, one of the top short track drivers on the service, and JJ Jensen III rounds out your 29 competitors in race number 1. As these drivers get ready to get rolling behind the iRacing official pace car, DJ, your final thoughts before the green flag flies for the first time tonight.
My biggest thoughts is watch position 8 and 9. Dustin Mumberkey and Kenny Kibbe. They're going to be charging up through the field. They're going to be fun to watch.
I think so too. Momboy Ket, it's talked about, builds a lot of various setups, works with Ryan Kuhn for his short track program as well. Keep an eye as well on a couple of things with him, including an APC United late model series spotter for Dale Shaw, a one-time series champion. But most of the drivers have made their way to the racetrack as we're just about set to get rolling behind the official iRacing pace truck. This is going to be tricky because this is a bottom-dominated track, and we've already seen how slippery the cars have been coming off that bottom on the corner exit.
Indeed. Watch these first couple of laps. Watch and see if anybody's going to be brave enough to try to stick it on the high line, or if the going low is going to be the way to go. You're going to see drivers start to experiment over the course of the race. Obviously, 50 laps, no pit stops, so we don't have to worry about that. But tire wear could start to play just the slightest issue, I think, starting around lap 35.
Indeed, as now drivers are getting all set to go for tonight's action. Again, 25 minutes, 50 laps on the docket. Under the full lights, 9:18 p.m. in sim time for tonight's action. One more pace lap before we get underway. Real quickly, your final thoughts before tonight's race gets underway that you feel should be known before this green flag drops tonight.
Well, my final thoughts is this. Strap in, guys. This is going to be a heck of a couple of hours of racing. We are in for some good drivers putting it all on the line. These are some of the best short tracks in the United States, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun.
Should note a couple of drivers were not able to get started on the grid due to having no clutch pedals. The 57 Mackenzie Glida had to pull onto the tow truck. Jensen as well. Jason Hand also did not make it to the grid as well for tonight's action. But all set to go. Live timing and scoring is available for tonight's action via GSRC.tv to keep an eye on your favorite teams and drivers for tonight's action as the 2020 edition of the Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series is all set to go, and we are still being delayed here for a moment. So a confusing sequence here as they are still keeping everyone lined up here all of a sudden, DJ, to start this event.
Not sure what's going on here. Everybody thankfully being peaceful. There's a lot of driver chatter. I think there's just a glitch with the setup on the server here, so we're going to have to see what happens.
Again, there are drivers who are struggling with clutch issues. They are expecting to go off the leader. That's what they're telling through race control. Now, let's try this again, shall we? It appears Kenny Zeems in control of the field. Around they go. The 2020 Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series is underway from Richmond.
Zeem's already off to a huge lead there in short track terms as everybody gets through, looking like they're going to be all nice and clean and tidy through turn 2, as you see Tyler Wood starting to challenge up there and Levi Cox right behind.
19 drivers are able to make the start for tonight's action as Zeem's already up by at least 6 car lengths at the end of the first lap. The battle is on, though, for second on back. Wood already under pressure. He was able to jump up from 4th, but Kyle Dean already up 2 positions. Nearly slides up as they're near 3 wide down the back.
They were. This is starting to get a little dicey. Welcome to short track, where rubbing is indeed racing, as we see here that battle for 3rd place going 3 wide down the front stretch and diving into turn 1. Who's going to make it out alive?
Everyone's able to make it through safely so far. Harwell watches behind, tries to peek underneath the 8. Dean nearly scrapes the wall. Now, Galinas tries to run away with P3. Wood's been able to pull away from 2nd spot and is now single file as a big wreck in the back. Caution flag is out. Eric Stout and several others involved, including Dustin Momboy Cat.
Absolute heartbreak there for Momboy Cat, as he was one of the favorites coming into this race, as we take a look now on the replay.
And an interesting start here as Momboy Cat gets hit by Stout and hard into the safer barrier out 4 as he's flipped upside down. 3 drivers involved.
That looks just like a situation where there wasn't a proper spotting situation, or where he just wasn't sure what was going on as they just cut off Momboy Cat there. Real heartbreak for him.
So an unfortunate start to the night for Momboy Cat. Eric Stout also involved in an incident and off the racetrack early on. So your top 5 right now is Zeems, Wood, Galinas, along with Cox and Dean. Very eventful first lap and first laps of the race, DJ.
They were quite eventful. Definitely classic short track action on the edge of your seat. Something to take a notice of, Kyle Dean really being the one to experiment with that top line, that blue and white car. He was really trying to make it work. He could get it to stick for maybe a lap or 2, but he tried to continue on with it and he fell back. He was running as high as 3rd, and now he's back in 5th place.
Your biggest mover, by the way, is Jeffrey Wallace, +6. Started for about 20th on the grid in the 71 machine. What a start from him. Avoided a lot of the trouble and gained spots as several of the others had to slam the brakes to avoid the chaos out of 4.
He certainly looked like he got a little bit of a rocket ship up for him. Other big movers to take a look at. Brett Nordstrom right behind him up 4, as well as Bailey Galinas. Jelinas, excuse me, up 3 spots into 3rd. Well, it'd be interesting to see off this restart if Zeems can catch the field sleeping again and build out to that lead like he did on this first start.
Drivers still getting ready to get going, as there has been clarification given from the drivers for race control. Drivers will be able to use auto clutch for the remaining portions of tonight's event, starting at Stafford. So that'll remedy some of the issues for drivers who do not have clutch pedals on their certain sets. Drivers are being also informed the restart box will be around the edge of the barriers along the inside wall for the green flag, so Zeems to control that. So keep that in mind as well, DJ, for when we get back on our way. That restart zone can be critical for the timing for these drivers behind them.
It very much can, and you can see, obviously, I think Zeems was able to build off the confusion of that last restart and really get the pedal down. Watch out for Tyler Woods and Bailey Galinas to really, really be able to catch up with them. They don't want to give him that advantage. Richmond is a track that if you are able to get ahead, you can stay ahead, provided you keep it clean.
Lights still on, by the way, on the pace car. As a couple drivers who were not able to make the start have made their way onto the circuit. Jason Matson, John Apgar, one of those competitors. Dustin Momboy Ket is the first driver several laps down, running on the track 3 laps down to be precise. And keep in mind, time may be a factor here as well, and this is the difficult part. If you have cautions, precautions, DJ, is yes, it's short track racing, but you only have 25 minutes to complete 50 laps. You have to be near perfect at some of these races tonight to avoid the set time limit.
You do indeed, and it's going to be something that we take into consideration. I ran some numbers earlier this week. I think 1, maybe 2 cautions, we should be okay, and we should be able to get it in on time. But if we get into a 3 or 4 caution territory area, look for the time limit to come in rather than the race distance.
Now given one to go this time. Zeems in control of the field. Wood in second. Galinas in third. Cox, Dean rounding out the top 5. Harlow in 6th. Maconi, Cato, Kibbe, Bush. Good row. Rounding out the top 11 cars on the track. Should note Thomas Axum is also back on the racetrack. Missed the first 9 laps due to a technical issue. As we are getting ready to get back going. Zeems has led every single lap so far. See if the number 15 can keep up the pace. To the restart zone. Great flag is out. We're backing away from Richmond.
Zeems able to get a good start this time. Not as good as he had last time as we start to dive into turn 1 here. 2 wide back for third.
Still side by side for third as single file for the top 2. Tyler Wood now on the prowl in the Bobby Dealer's Legacy Esports machine. Bit of a wiggle for Zeems. Here comes the 22 with a chance to go to the inside for the race lead.
He's going to try to force his way up on that inside line. He's going to make Zeems go around the outside. Can he make it work down the backstretch? No, it looks like Zeems is able to keep the momentum going on that outside line.
Here comes Galinas now, trying to take advantage of that check up and wobble. Wood wobbles up the track, avoids contact. Several drivers drive around. Someone tanks Wood. That was Harlow who hit Wood's Nerf bar. Is up and over goes Wood.
Oh, it's that corner exit wiggle that we were talking about earlier. He just looked like he tried to get the power down too early and lost the momentum. He may have got a little bit of contact here. Yep, I can't tell if that was actual contact or netcode, but got up into the wall, got tagged from behind again as they crossed the start-finish, and ended up on his hood.
And Wood just about had saved that machine, and right here, bam, just enough to hook him to the right, and up and over goes Wood for a quick second caution with 17 minutes on the clock and about 35 laps to go. Coming to 36 rather this time. Bye. So a chance to reset for these drivers. And several more competitors have taken advantage of more of the attrition. Jeffrey Wallace, as we talked about gaining these positions, is now a +8 up to 12.
Also another one to keep an eye on, Philip Bush up 6 positions in P8, and our number 2 place driver, Bailey Galinas, up 4 positions. I was watching him on that last restart, looking really, really good, able to put the car wherever he wants to go. I don't think he's going to let Zeems pull out an advantage here on this restart. Watch for him to get aggressive and try to go for the lead.
Thomas Axon has been given a few waiver rounds in this situation, by the way. He was not able to put up a qualifying lap. But Galinas once again still falling behind at this point in the second spot. He's looked fairly good in terms of setting up the passes tonight, DJ, and he is one of the drivers who I've seen perform very well in short tracks, DJ, but tonight has been very impressive from the jump.
It has. He just seems like he's got it locked down. Obviously, when you're running any sort of track, you can just get in that zone with the car and with the type of track. Now, like we talked about earlier, we'll have to see if he is able to keep that up. Maybe he can do it well at Iowa. Maybe he can continue his streak there.
Indeed. By the way, Wood a DNF. Linus once again in second spot, Cox in third, Dean in fourth, Maconi rounding out the top 5. So now at this point, how do you plan this out knowing there's been a lot of attrition early on and track position's been hard to come by?
At this point in the race, I'm going to start getting more aggressive. I don't know if we're going to get to these full 50 laps, so a normal strategy of just sort of wait back, make sure I'm okay. That's out the window. I want to get to the front. I want to get as many points, well, as little points as possible in the scoring in this system, but I want to get as high as I can in this field so that I can capitalize if we continue to stay under yellow.
So a couple more pace laps expected here. By the way, Momboy Ked has pit under this caution for 38 seconds of service in his number 16 machine is back going with significant damage to the front Nerf bars. 16 cars are on the lead lap in the early going of tonight's race. Still, to remind folks, the next track on the docket is Stafford Speedway. That race will be sponsored by Midwest Motor Customs. We'll be giving out 2 free paint jobs to the winner of tonight's event. For Iowa Speedway, Maconi Setup Shop is a sponsor for the 3rd race on the calendar. While New Hampshire will be sponsored by Area 51 Racing League. With that, as the rest of the drivers sort themselves out here, lights are still on top of the pace car, now turned off, with your top 10 being as follows. Zeems, Joannis along with Dean, Cox, Harlow, Maconi, Kibbe, Bush, Cato, Goodrow. Among the top 10 drivers on the track. DJ, your quick thoughts before we go back green for the third time.
My quick thoughts are I'm looking at Kenny Zeems, seeing if he can continue to pull that out. I'm also going to be keeping an eye on Philip Bush, making a really good charge through the crowd back in 6th place, as well as Bailey Jelinas.
So I'm curious to see how Jelinas does here. As the pace car is off, into the restart zone. Bit of contact on the outside line as the green flag's back out. We're underway. Good launch by Zeems. And already the 78 trying to cut off the bottom can as here comes Levi Cox on the bottom.
A little bit of contact there, a little bit of bump and run there from Kyle Dean to Bailey Jelinas. Really, I think, pushed him out of space going into that first corner. As here goes Cox diving down the inside, trying to make that outside work. Somebody running up high in the background there. I couldn't see who it was.
That was Maconi making contact with Dean that time up the track. Still side by side for second spot. Cox trying to get back to his starting position, but Jelinas doing the best we've seen so far to hang it on the outside line as the caution is out. Back on the field, Dustin Monboyket for another yellow.
As we go yellow again, that's got to be a bit of a heartbreak to Bailey Jelinas. He had a really good run as we go back into the replay here.
And a self-induced error has clipped the apron and 1 and 2 it looked like, DJ, and up into the safer barrier he went.
Indeed he did. I think he just got down, touched a little bit of that yellow line. Obviously that car suffered some damage from before, as there you can see it. Yep, just kisses that yellow line, tries to catch it, moves back around. You know, it's one of the things about these tour modifieds. They are big, they are heavy, they understeer a lot, but they also have a lot of power, so they have a propensity to snap oversteer. And when you get into a tank slapper like that, they are almost impossible to come back from.
Still, there are 28 laps to go the upcoming time by. Zeems, Cox, Jelinas along with Maconi now up to 4th. Harlow, Kibbe, Bush, Goodrow, Cato, and Dean. Rounding out your top 10 on the racetrack. For the inaugural running at the Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series tonight.
Yes, and as I was saying before that break, Levi Cox got a little bit loose coming through 3 and 4. It looked like Bailey Jelinas may have been able to get that to work, that outside line to work for him, forcing him down into an error. As we saw with that accident, if you touch that yellow line, it'll send the car into a bit of a skid, a bit of a mess up. And so I think running that high line, as we've seen from Bailey Jelinas there, may not be the fastest, but it's at least fast enough to keep you in contention, and it is certainly the safest.
By the way, Thomas Axum has been given additional wave rounds, and gotta keep an eye on him, DJ, because he is someone who has won several rear-world events, one of the better short-track competitors on the racing service for iRacing. He's now been waved around a couple times here and expect to be back on the lead lap this time for this restart in 17th position.
He'll certainly be one to watch as he continues to charge up through the field. And as we continue to look back at some of our top movers, Philip Bush now up 7, Jeffrey Wallace, 2 of the guys we've been talking about, also up 7. You're seeing a lot of these guys in the back benefiting from these cautions, moving on up through the field. It's really playing out well for him.
Approaching the halfway point of tonight's action. Again, time is still expected to be a potential factor here with the cautions, precautions, and the tightness here, but 2 to green this time by Zeems, Cox, once again, Jelinas, Maconi, Harlow, now your score top 5. At this point, if you're second on back, what do you do to try and take the victory here tonight?
I think from what I've seen is I just try to power the guy and force the guy in front of me to make a mistake. That seems to be the way to get by. We're not seeing a lot of what we would consider drafting or anything like that. It's just a lot of pressure in the guy in front, force him too low, get him into a mistake. It looks like the high line is the way to go in terms of safety. So that's what I'd be doing.
Seen Axum drive a little bit in front of these cars. He's now back on the lead lap as once again, Zeems, Cox, Jelinas, Maconi, Harlow, Kibbe, Bush, Goodrow, Cato, Dean, your top 10. Our biggest movers tonight, Axum, a plus 11. Several drivers not able to make the initial green flag of the evening in this history of this event. Jeffrey Wallace, one of your biggest movers, as well as Brett Nordstrom, who struggled in qualifying for tonight. All set to go once again to the restart zone. They roll once again. Zeems in control of the field. Back on our way from Richmond.
Another great jump from Zeems, and watch Jelinas here coming up the inside of Levi Cox, now changing the playbook, diving down. He looks like he washes up just a little bit and maybe playing a little bit dirty, trying to keep that car up high to block off that line. Good racing from him.
Jelinas still trying to hug the bottom side. Cox a little bit lower though. He backs off the Mike Wood Race Designs machine. Harlow still trying to hold off the steaming pack of cars for fourth on back though. Here comes Kenny Kibbe joining the fun in the NG Kibbs machine.
Nice move there, nice dive up the inside, trying to halt the momentum a little bit as he and Maconi are running now side by side in through 3 and 4. Once again, it looks like Maconi washes up.
And another incident at the back of the field, Brett Nordstrom involved. And collected a second driver as well, John Apgar.
Heartbreak for Nordstrom there, one of our fast movers. As you see the replay here, they're going. He just loses it there. Oh, and gets hit right there. That's going to be out of the race for both of them tonight.
This onboard is going to be fun. Take a listen. And for obvious reasons, that's a blown motor.
Yeah, you can't really take that big of a hit on it like that. Really, really heartbreaking there for Apgar, as you saw. I'm not sure who that was in front of him, just ducking out at the last minute and really leaving him nowhere to go. As I said, these cars are heavy. They work to trail brake a little bit through the corners, but getting them to come to a complete stop is pretty difficult at these speeds.
Brett Nordstrom, for obvious reasons, well off the track, as well as Christopher Apgar. So that now leaves 16 machines on the lead lap. Approaching 6 minutes estimated on the clock. Might have a chance for 1, maybe 2 more restarts, DJ, at the very most at this point.
Yeah, at this point, I'm going to be doing to try to look exactly what we saw Kenny Kibbe and Bailey Jelinas do on that last restart, which is just push my advantage. Whatever lane they're not in, go for it. Try to go hard, get to the front as fast as possible, because it looks like we are going to run into that time limit rather than our race distance.
Reminder for those folks watching along tonight. Still 3 more races on the clock and the calendar for tonight. 2020 Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series. Midwest Motor Customs is the official sponsor of the East Stafford Speedway portion of tonight's event. Once again, they'll be giving out 2 free paint schemes to the winner of tonight's event. 1 point for the race winner, 2 points for P2, 3 points for P3, so forth. That's explained similar to what you may see in golf in that system. And overall, the team and the driver, I should rather say, with the least amount of points ends up winning the $100 overall prize by the end of the night. But $25 is still on the line here, and keep in mind it's just the top 3, which are the money-paying positions. That 3rd position has not been easy to hold on to. That 2nd position even has not been that easy to hold on to, but that 1st position has been controlled by 1 driver, Kenny Zeems all night, DJ.
Kenny Zeems really just being the class of the field tonight, and he hasn't really gotten a chance to stretch his legs as we keep going yellow and yellow and yellow. But what he has nailed down is these restarts. He's able to get just enough of an advantage to stay ahead, not be challenged, and keep on front until the yellow flag seems to fly once again.
Under 5 minutes on the clock, by the way, as we're almost set to get back underway. Nordstrom should note is still trying to get damage repaired. There are 2 drivers still running on the circuit who are several laps down. The rest of the field below 19th. has either DNF'd or not been able to make the start of tonight's events. But lights are out. Zeems, along with Jelinas, Cox and Harlow, Maconi and Kibbe, Bush and Goodrow, Dean and Cato are your top 5 rows. At this point, what do you do if you want to beat Zeems cleanly?
If I want to beat Zeems cleanly, I have to really, really try to get a jump on this restart. You cannot be caught sleeping at all. There's probably going to be another yellow based off of what we've seen, so if I'm Bailey Jelinas, I am almost going to worry about trying to get a penalty I want to get on the gas so quickly.
All set to go as the rest of the field is now caught up to the back of the pace car. Off to the restart zone, and you called it. He tried to jump into the top. Nearly passes the leader. Still side by side into turn 1 as the rest of the top line trying to follow suit. 3 wide in the middle of the pack. 1 car into the fence. Trevor Vogel is spun into the inside wall as we are back under yellow. And who is the leader? I believe it might be the 78.
It is Bailey Jelinas finally taking that top spot away from Kenny Zeems. He has got the lead as we have 3 minutes to go here. This may just be enough for him.
Take a look at what happened. This happened along with Trevor Vogel. The 3 was hit hard into the inside wall, and Jeffrey Wallace and a couple others have nowhere to go as he's pinned onto the inside. This was with 2-3 wide action.
You can see it there, just getting that bump from behind, sending him up into the wall. Real heartbreak for him on that. You saw the same thing coming out with Levi Cox, giving Kenny Zeems just a little bit of a push at the front of the line too, as that bump draft seeming to almost trying to be a thing here at Richmond.
And curious on the exact view on this, it was the tightest I've ever seen, DJ. The scoring loops determine the race later in such a crucial part of an event. Because in turns 1 and 2, at the time of the caution flag, the 78 and the 15 were side by side in turns 1 and 2, near dead even, in fact, DJ. Just the very edge of the front Nerf ball was the difference in the scoring zone.
It was indeed, but that is how they are timing it. I frankly wish that they had this kind of scoring to be taken into consideration in the 2002 Indianapolis 500 with Elio Castroneves, but that's an argument for a different time. As Bailey Jelinas is just able to get that edge, he is going to have the advantage from what we've seen if we are able to get back under green, that low line being the way to go at least through turns 1 and 2.
Under 90 seconds on the clock, so expecting to hit the window unless they get very tight. They're expecting 2 to green this time. What a tight finish after Zeems led a majority of this race tonight to start off the event.
He has a little bit of a heartbreak for him to lose out like that, but we'll have to see what happens. See if Levi Cox gives the same treatment to Bailey Jelinas as he did to Kenny Zeems, giving him a little push as they got to the start-finish line.
Triggering this time by signaled, so the exact determination of what we get here once the time runs out is going to be interesting, DJ. There's been differences. In some cases, it seems, at some tracks in the history of the Global SimRacing Channel, we've seen it finish out or checkered. We've seen in some cases finish with a one-lap shootout. Either way, this could get fairly interesting to see what happens here in some of the preparation.
That's right, and I believe this series has said they are going to try to go for a single green-white checker, and if that does not prove to be possible, that they will finish under yellow. I'm not sure about that. I believe that's what I heard.
Yeah, I believe we are going to finish under yellow as the time has indeed come out to the now listed final lap. Field is being told now by race control. Field expected to be frozen on the next time around to finish the race, the last lap now. And what a time for the 78 to make that move. Yes, it was a rough jump on the start, but he stayed behind the leader at the start and finish line. And in turn, if that didn't have a caution flag, I'd argue DJ Zeems would still be leading this race.
I think that's a completely fair assessment that Gelinas was just able to get over the line when it needed to count. I think if they had gone into 3 and 4, Kenny Zeems would have taken the lead back quite easily.
Pace car is off, as now green flag is out, and as mentioned, field is frozen as the 78 Beanie Gelinas wins the opening race of the 2020 Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series.
That really and truly was just a masterclass in patience from Bailey Gelinas, just trying everything he could do to stay in, make sure he was on top of it when he could be, and taking advantage when he needed to. Obviously, he got very lucky with that yellow, but let's not take anything away from Bailey. That was a very, very good race from him.
In the end, gained 5 positions at the checker flag. Many of the competitors now trying to float and rush their way now into their virtual jets. Now let's take a look towards how your unofficial results stack up for tonight's opening race of this event. Gelinas wins over Levi Cox. This will be shuffled about and sorted. Overall, for official standings, again, field was frozen. Several competitors like to stop before that official checker flag. Zeems amongst the top 3 drivers tonight. Harlow, Maconi, Kibbe, Goodrow, Bush, Cato, and Dean round out your top 10 unofficially.
And unofficially, bringing up an 11th place, that's going to be Joshua Ebert, followed by Matthew Hughes, Thomas Axum, Hallett, Wallace, Vogel, Matson, Elijah Nordstrom, and Apgar coming in those last couple of cars, finishing well behind due to damage.
Rest of the drivers did not finish. Apgar, John Apgar to be precise, Momboy Kett, Wood, Stout, and Jensen all did not finish. The opening race of the evening, drivers who did not start: Ken Zeems, Dylan Kopak, Charles Gettings, Christopher Apgar, and Jason Han for tonight. So in total, 29 drivers took to the racetrack, and one man gets to come home with the initial $25 on the night and this series points lead after one race of 4. Once again, the 78 Gelinas joins us now from virtual victory lane. How does it feel to be the first race winner in the history of the series' history and the event's history and the first overall race of its history?
Feels pretty good. I didn't think it was going to pan out that way. I thought we were going to run out of time and not be able to get to the racing for the win, but jumped the start, was able to back it down, get it back even with him, and have a good race through turn 1 and 2. I was hoping to go green to the end, though, with him. Would have been fun.
And DJ Clark actually called that here in the broadcast booth. What came to the decision-making to try that tactic, and in turn, what was going through your mind as by the time the caution came out for the incident in turn 1, you're in a drag race, and it came down to the scoring loops to determine who led at the checkered?
Just made the decision. We kept watching him. He kept going about the same time, so I thought I was going to go and get it dead right with him, and he actually backed it up a little bit. So, but the spotter was able to help get me the line of when he was going. I went for it and overdid it a little bit, but we were able to back down and make it a good race still with the drag race.
Still 3 more races on the night. Next one is at East Stafford Speedway. Your thoughts on going there?
I love Stafford. Stafford's fun. Flat track, short track, all fun. I can't wait for New Hampshire. That's going to be my favorite, though.
Real quick, anyone you want to thank?
I want to thank my spotter, Brady Campbell, my crew chief, Trevor Holopoff, and I'd like to thank all my family and everybody for letting me do this. It's fun.
Congratulations on the initial race victory of the night. It's the first race victory in the history of the Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you.
Once again, that was Bailey Gelinas with the initial victory of the evening. Second race about to get underway from East Stafford Speedway. We'll be heading on to our virtual jets. Stick around. We'll be in the northeast in just a few moments. You're watching the Global SimRacing Channel. Stick around. Welcome back to the Global SimRacing Channel, to the virtual East Stafford Speedway for Race 2 of the 2020 edition of the Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series. We're all set to go for tonight's second race of the evening, sponsored by Midwest Motor Customs. Let's take a look at how they will start. For tonight's action, as all the drivers have finished qualifying and are ready to take the green. First driver on the board is Tyler Wood with Kenny Zeems in second. Ken Zeems starts in third with Kenny Kibbe in fourth. Roswell Harlow starts in fifth. Kyle Dean starts in P number 6. Nordstrom in seventh. Vogel, Han, and Harlan round out your top 10 DJ.
Jeffrey Wallace coming home in 11th place. Matthew Hughes qualifying in 12th. Joseph Elford and Mackenzie Galida coming in on the 7th row. Charles Gettings, Jason Matson in row 8. Row 9 is going to be made up by Thomas Axum and Dustin Momberket, excuse me. And then finally bringing up in row 10, that's going to be Levi Cox and Trent Goodrow.
Deep in the field tonight, Ross Cato, along with Jeff Maconi, Philip Bush, 23rd. Your race winner, Joe Linus, going right from Celebration to the track in 24th. Kopech, Harold Ralph, along with John and Christopher Apgar, round out your 28 entrants in race number 2 of the night. So, we're at the virtual East Stafford Speedway, a track known for its E-Series back in the springtime as well. It's competitive racing in real world. Your thoughts on Stafford tonight?
Well, we talked about it a little bit last time. Corner exits even more important around this track. It's low banked with longer straightaways, coming in at about just 0.5 miles. You've got to get the power down to try to get a good run going down those straights. That's going to be the keys to winning here.
Still one more pace lap expected here at this point. Who are some of the drivers you feel have the most consistency and confidence after the first race?
Well, I've frankly got to be looking back through the field at Bailey Galinas. I know he's starting all the way back in 24th, but that win's got to make him feel pretty good. I also would keep an eye on Kenny Zeems and also Dustin Momberket. Very eager to make up for his mistakes in that last race.
Drivers all set to go again. Same setups. Drivers have packed the track. Track conditions 70 degrees Fahrenheit, air temp, and track temp. Time, sunrise, as the drivers are all set to let their engines roar. To the front stretch as Wood off and away. We're underway for race number 2 of the Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series.
Tyler Wood getting a good run to the line. Kenny Zeems coming in behind him. As you see, the low line is going to be the way to go here. Not enough banking to really carry that momentum, but as I say it, Roswell Harlow making a good move on the outside of Ken Zeems there, trying to make it work. He may just have it as they blast back for lap 2.
Up the track this time as near contact, Roswell Harlow nearly pushed into him. The leader separated by 0.3 of a second. Most of the drivers single filed out. One driver towards the back with a bit of shuffling, Ross Cato. One other driver, the 57, wins the turn 1 outside wall. At the opening lap of this race, everybody else clean. So far, more trouble on the front stretch. Caution is out. Axum, Wallace, along with Jelinas and several others involved.
Heartbreak for Bailey Gelinas there, hoping to capitalize after the win of the last race as we go to the replay here.
Let's take a look, and wow, several drivers were losing it off of 4.
Going on board the 13 of Matthew Hughes here as we see the dive. This is just a classic big one. Everybody getting together in close confines there. Nowhere to go for any of those guys behind.
So an interesting start to this one. In your opinion, what's the best way, though, to drive around Stafford Motor Speedway based on your experience, especially with some of the difficulties around this track and some of the Tour Modifieds?
The best and the fastest way, in my opinion, is to really work on diamonding off these corners. Have a tight corner entry and a tight corner exit. Let the car wash up a little bit in the middle. You don't really want to go all the way down to that yellow line. You'll see the apron running around the track. It's kind of like the old Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You can dip below it a little bit if you need to, but if you run into that, you're going to lose a little bit of balance in the car and run the risk of spinning out. So you're going to see most of the guys, if they're running safe, trying to stay above that line. Now, I say that low line is the way to go, but Kenny Kibbe on that first couple of laps, proving that the high line can work. He's staying about a half a car's width outside of everybody else, just trying to run a little bit of a different line, carry a little bit of more momentum through. So there are other ways to take it, but the fastest way I have found is that diamond pattern.
Right now, 23 drivers are still running, by the way, on the racetrack, and keep in mind, there is a bit of tightness between the first race and the second race for the early going of tonight. Of course, the first time this event has been held in the history of the Maconi Setup Shop, working with Apgar Esports as well for this evening's event. If you're some of those competitors who were fast in the first race but have to start deep in the field for the second one, how do you adapt to try and make sure you don't get collected and don't run over the drivers in front?
Well, the easiest way to do it is make some passes and get up front to minimize the amount of people in front of you. But honestly, I think based off of what we saw in the first race with cautions galore, it may also be a strategy of just taking it back nice and slow, not trying to be too aggressive. You know, guys in the back are going to be pushing hard, and just trying to run an avoidance style race. Almost run this like you're running rookies on the iRacing service. Just don't crash, keep it steady, and try to collect as many points as you can. Maybe make a move to push forward with 5 minutes or 10 laps to go.
I'm imagining a bunch of pit crews right now taping a bunch of pills, bubble wrap, as well as some body armor to their cars. Is that a good thing or a bad thing, DJ?
It depends on what you like to see in your race, and personally, when I'm at a short track, I don't mind a little bit of bumping like that.
All set to go for the restart. Wood, Zeems, Harlow, Zeems, Dean, Kibbe, Nordstrom, Vogel, Harlett, and Joseph Adler. Rounding out the top 10 drivers in the first 5 rows. Tyler Wood looking to recover from race number 1 of the night. He's off and away as the race leader in race number 2 of the evening, once again from Stafford.
Really good start there from Wood. He kind of caught Kenny Zeems messing behind.
And a massive crash in the back of the field. Oh my goodness. Kyle Dean, Philip Bush dodging, Ross Cato, Levi Cox, several dozen others, at least 6 on back was involved.
Oh, once again, just nowhere to go for these guys. This track turning into more a Talladega than it is Stafford, as these guys just continue to find each other and block the paths for all drivers behind.
Already EOL given to Vogel, by the way, as, man, at least 5-6 drivers collecting that one for Nerf bar damage. Several others, like you see there for the number 3, just able to keep out of getting involved with more damage in that situation, as Vogel has apologized on the radio for missing the brake zone on this.
Yeah, Vogel just went right into the back of Levi Dean, causing him to spin around, and that just created all the pandemonium behind him. Absolutely heartbreak there for Kyle Dean. He was just a passenger. That was not his fault at all.
Once again, live time and scoring for tonight's race is available at GSRC.TV to keep up with where your favorite drivers and teams are throughout tonight's action for the Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series. Once again, here on the Global SimRacing Channel, that's at GSRC.TV. As your biggest movers now on the side of your screen, Harold Ralph up 13 spots, John Apgar 11 spots gain, +9 for Trent Goodrow as well, a +6 for the 12 machine of Eilert. Also +6 for several others, including Dustin Mumboy, Cat DJ in the early stages.
Yeah, he's starting to move his way up there, as obviously a lot of these position changes are going to be based off of all the wrecks that you've seen coming along, but also important to know that the top 5 have not changed positions from their starting position at all. They have stayed absolutely side by side this entire way through, as they're just trying to get a good race in and, well, frankly, not get hit by anything.
Lap time pace, by the way, in the 17-second bracket, up to as high as 18 seconds for the drivers up towards the front of the field for this evening's action. Again, the winner of tonight's event will get 2 free paint schemes from the sponsor of this particular race, Midwest Motor Customs. So keep that in mind, as several of these teams, I think, would really like a brand new paint scheme, especially a free one, DJ.
Oh, very much so. You'd be amazed at what a fresh new set of paint on the car how faster it can make you go at any rate. At least it makes you feel
Yeah.
that way.
I heard GSRC logos add 10 horsepower as well, so there's that. So just add GSRC logo to that paint scheme too.
I heard it was more like 13, but you know, just anything you can get on there.
Either way, getting ready to get back going. Your top 5 still the same for the drop of the green flag. Wood, Zeems, Kibbe, and Harlow. Nordstrom, Eilert, Harlot, getting some +6 now. Jason Hand, who DNF'd early on in the first race. Rounding out your top 10. Ready to go. Once again, green flag is out, 36 to go.
Another great start there for Tyler Wood as the pack starts to file in behind him. That's going to be Kenny Kirby on his favorite outside line as they get really close on that third place spot.
Kenny Kibbe trying to keep his machine from the Kirbys in the grass all around the edge of the apron at this point. And keep in mind, drivers in some cars may use that apron for rotation. Others have been trying to avoid it. Near contact as Kibbe hit the back end of the 69 with the Nerf bar. Check that was in 65.
He did, but he was able to at least get better position around Ken Zeems here as we see him start to come around. Looking back, you can see that as we fly back here for another lap as Kirby continues to try to make that inside line work.
Couple drivers had trouble at the back of the field with a blown engine, as well as John Apgar. He's out of the way in the bottom grass. Single file out the lead, separated by just 0.2 of a second. It's Tyler Wood in first, Kenny Zeems in second, Harlow, Kibbe, and Ken Zeems with a decent run round at the top 5, but that driver in 6th spot in the Spark VR machine is moving while one car is spinning. That's the one, and Giddings into the infield, collecting Harold Ruff with him.
That's right, and Charles Giddings coming down there as well. We are going to, I think, break to replay here to try to see what happened. No, we're not. We're gonna stay up front. We're gonna stay up front as we continue to go green, and a great battle taking place up front.
And is closing it quickly as they pass by more drivers with engine trouble. Ralph is now towed. Wood now feels pressure for Kenny Zeems, though. Kenny Zeems currently one of the top drivers of the night, providing pressure to Wood, one of the top short track drivers and one of the setup builders for Bobby Dale Earns Legacy Esports. They will have lap traffic to deal with, who have been involved in some of the early incidents, though, in the next couple laps.
And you saw on that last lap, Tyler Wood getting really loose coming at it, too, as you see him try to take that diamond pattern. Kenny Zeems diving low onto that apron, trying to use as little track as possible, get the fastest run that he can, really trying to trace him down.
And contact as Zeems hits the outside wall with the tires. Here comes the traffic. Up the track goes the one, lets by the race leaders. Zeems losing some time as a result is the one finally able to move to the bottom of the racetrack. Behind them as well, Ross Harlow still holds on to third, but Kenny Kibbe is not making it easy in the orange machine. And in several series on GSRC, he's been a top 5 contender in just about everything. Caution flag is out though for 12th on back. I believe that was Levi Cox, as well as a couple other drivers. Justin Malboy, can't believe, also was involved in the caution flag this time.
I believe that's right, as
yes,
we are going to go back on a replay.
Yes, Dustin Monboyquette is indeed the cause, and this is why. So both drivers are involved, and Monboyquette is done for the night, for at least this race as a result of this.
Yeah, just a little bit of a dive bomb up the inside there. Tire contact spinning him around. Another heartbreak for Monboyquette, one of the favorites coming into this, just finding bad luck on a short track.
So approaching halfway and looking good on time, by the way, for those keeping track of their watches. It's been a strong run so far for Wood, but it's not been easy because Kenny Zeems, he's showing that exact same pace he did at Richmond.
He is indeed, and you know, with these newer modifieds, they are a little bit stronger than your normal race car, so I don't think that contact he had on the main straight is going to hurt him that much. As you saw, he was able to pull back a little bit, just frankly because of having to rub the wall and scrub off a little bit of time.
So at this point, what do you do if you're Wood to keep this race lead, knowing that if you make any single slide, Zeems is shooting up that inside and taking away the bottom in the lead?
What I do is I run a low line, but I do not touch that apron. I keep it high. You're going to have more grip there. You're not going to run the risk of sort of accidental out of the blue oversteer that's going to snap the car around. I just want to keep it there. And frankly, I may play a little bit dirty with him. I may break a little bit on the apex of the corner, try to throw him off his game a little bit so I can get a better acceleration down the straight. Do the old Nico Rosberg maneuver, as it were.
Curious to see how that would turn out, by the way. That's done several times, because eventually there's a breaking point to, well, hitting the brake in the middle of the apex. Is there not, though, DJ?
There is. You've got to trail brake your way through the corner, but if you slow down just a little bit and vary it lap to lap, what it can do is it can throw off your competitor behind you so that they don't want to run into the back even in their race. And it puts them on their back foot, so they don't know what you're going to do on the speed of that. But as long as you know that you can hit the speed coming down the back straight, you know that you can get the power down and you're not going to sacrifice anything, it's a way to throw your competitors off their game. They're going to think you're driving erratic, but you are in complete total control of the car and you're actually making them drive more erratic.
Still rolling behind the safety car. Pace car rather, as we're just about all set to go. 1 to go signal on the racetrack. It seems right alongside Tyler Wood at the start. Roswell Harlow, Kenny Kibbe, Ken Ziens, Joseph Eilert, Brett Nordstrom, Trent Goodrow, Jeff Maconi, and Bailey Jelinas, believe it or not, is already up to 10th DJ, a plus 14 after being involved in the first caution.
That's a heck of a run from him, looking to capitalize on that win from Richmond last week. We'll have to see how he does.
All set to get back underway. He's starting in 24th. Engines are rolling. He's roaring from the top line. We're back underway as Wood. Single file to the bottom side. Fight is on, and once again, third on back.
Third on back, another great fight is Kenny Kibbe and Roswell Harlow going side by side. It looks like Kibbe had that top line working as now Harlow dives to the inside on him, and that may even be Ken Ziens trying to poke his nose up there, seeing what he can make happen.
Harlow able to make it stick this time as most of the drivers single file. Harlow with a bit of a bobble though. Here comes Kibbe. Major block and major send. Harlow spun around, collecting Kibbe and several others. We stay green as Harlow now hooks into the track for the caution.
Oh, I thought they were going to get through that and make it through, but it looks like just a little bit of a dive bomb there, sending everything out of whack as we go to replay.
Could see that coming a little bit because Harlow with a massive block to the bottom of the racetrack in the 3.
Yeah, he definitely started to move down under braking a little bit. Kibbe certainly had a run. I think that's 6 one way, half dozen the other. I would call that a racing incident in terms of dive bomb versus blocking.
And there's a saying, at least on the road course side, DJ, you never move under braking. That was that case as you talked about. You see it right there and bam. But the second part of it is, it was going to stay green until right about here where he just spun it left.
Yeah, I wonder if there was a little bit of damage that he may have picked up. I doubt it, but I think that's just a situation of trying to get back focused. You're messed up. You want to get back into the race, so you're going to be a little over eager. Put your pedal down. Try to get out of there faster. And as we've talked about, these cars have a propensity to spin, and that's exactly what happens.
18 laps to go. Time is now going to potentially start to be a factor for tonight's action. Around 10 minutes or so estimated, give or take on the clock. Up to 7 minutes, by the way. So once again, it's going to be very tight on the timing. On the bright side, the Ziens are having a good night. They're now second and third. Father and son, believe, are now first and second, or second and third, rather.
It's always nice to see a little bit of family lineage playing out on the racetrack here. And it'll be interesting to see if Ken maybe gives Tyler a little bit of a push, try to get his family member up into the first place, but we'll have to see what happens when we go back green.
Yep. Both of those drivers run in various different modified series and various other different types of series on the racing service. Won various different races, especially Ken in recent months. Kenny has also made a name for himself in various different series as well. Both two very competitive drivers, to say the very least, up towards the front.
For sure. This has just been a really, really good, solid battle at the front, and it's really kind of heartbreaking to see what happened there with Kenny Kibbe, as the action with him and Harlow was really spectacular up until the point of that crash, obviously.
By the way, will be stricter decisions in terms of racing incident calls for the final 2 races of the night. Keep that in mind. But in regards to how the point structure is right now, DJ, if this holds how it is, Zeems would be the technically points leader after the first half of the first ever Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series, with potentially 2 P2s and/or first and second to his name.
He would, and that's going to be pretty tricky to overcome. It's kind of what we talked about early on, doing that professor-like vibe, just thinking about not trying to put your car into a position to win, but just remember that this is a series that you're competing in. Get good, safe positions, and he very well may be able to take home a good position in the series as a whole if he continues to run like this.
Want to go signal? Wood, Kenny Zeems, Ken Zeems, Brett Nordstrom, Trent Goodrow. Your top 5. Maconi, along with Jelinus. And 7, Cox, Harlot, Kibbe. Your top 10. Green flag back out. Once again underway. 14 to go in terms of laps.
That was a great jump there by Tyler Wood, really getting down on the pedal early. It looked like he actually had to back off a little bit coming onto the main straight because he was going to be too far ahead.
Now, much cleaner start from the top 4. Bit of a wobble, fifth on back. A bit of contact as several drivers back top the wall. Kenny Zeems around, up in front of the field. Caution is out as several drivers smash their Nerf bars.
We're going to start off this replay back with Kenny Zeems as we see him here coming onto the main straight, hits that wall, rides it up, starts to lose it, everybody dives, he spins, and it's just off to the crashers right there.
At least 5+ drivers involved in, for obvious reasons, Zeems with several hard hits is done for race number 2. So there goes the points conversation. So this is going to get fun for the second half of the event tonight.
I think that's the definition of the commentator's curse right there, and to Kenny Zeems, we sincerely apologize.
Still though, when you hit the wall, it's very difficult to keep the car straight when the tires are bouncing up and down off the track of the wall.
Yeah, normally to be able to have optimal grip coming around here, you want all 4 tires to be down. And with these cars, like I said earlier, when you start to get a little loose, when the car starts to get away from you because of the weight, just shifting back and forth with a massive amount of weight, they are hard to get back under control. So I'm frankly impressed that Kenny was able to keep it going forward until that main straight ended.
By the way, that car you're looking at with that close-up is Trent Goodrow, who is now up to 4th position. Crazily enough, he's a +16. You also have Jelinus, who has the chance to take that set points lead, who's up to 5th right behind him.
Really, really great run here from Bailey Jelinus. Obviously starting deep in the field, getting involved in that early accident, and then rising back up to 5th place. He is up 19 positions from his start. Really good drive here.
Especially after getting involved in the early incident, and since then has just trended upwards and upwards and upwards. By the way, one lap around Gettings has been waiting around the pace car. That will put him back in the lead lap grouping. 13 drivers, just 13 DJ on the lead lap. And at this point, with time now a factor, and laps definitely a factor with 9 to go, how do you time this up now if you're Ken Zeems now with your best chance to win a race to start off the night?
Well, I think he takes the lead from Bailey Jelinus' book. I think he tries to almost jump this start, get out as fast as he can, throw Tyler Wood onto his back foot, maybe try to get a little aggressive, push him down onto the apron, get him to make a mistake. Wood's driven a great race, but with the exception of that 3 or 4 lap battle with Kenny Zeems, we haven't seen a lot of pressure on him, so see how he responds to it.
Ken Zeems, lots of real-world experience. If you look towards profiles, experience in modifieds throughout his years, several different races held and taken part of, as we talked about. Good chance for him to have a good second race tonight. Want to go? Wood, Zeems, Nordstrom, Goodrow, Jelinus, Kibbe, Eilert, Harlot, Cox, Philip Bush. Round out your top 10. Drivers have been warned as well for using their Nerf bars throughout the final stretch of this race. 7 laps to go. Off and away goes the Bobby Dillon's Legacy Esports machine, still leading with 7 to go.
Good jump there from Wood, but Zeems didn't let him get away with it as we look at a 2-wide battle going on there in the back.
That is Jelinas who makes contact, puts Nordstrom in the wall, spinning off into the grass, and we're back under caution. And your trigger point is the 78. Hard hits put us back under the yellow as squeezed one car to the wall, got spun by another. Right here.
Yeah, going down onto that apron, if you come up like that, that's a combination of just losing grip. You're going to be changing track surfaces, changing banking degrees coming off of that apron. He gets loose, he comes up high on the wall, and just everything starts to fall apart.
So a rough sequence for everyone involved as we're back in our yellow. Time not looking like it is expected to be too much of a factor, but even with it being very tight, either way, DJ, we're looking at potential 1 to 2 lap shootout here to decide it.
We are indeed, and as we said earlier, there is a potential for 1 green-white checker. That's what they're going to try to do. If they can't get that in, it will just end under yellow. But as we saw this time around, Tyler Wood able to get that power out, get going hard. Ken Zeems maybe could have had a run on it within 2 laps, but we will see.
Drivers still running behind the pace car.
And
drivers are now being told, in fact, here, DJ, that they're looking to freeze the field. They're looking to freeze the field.
Justin, that sounds exactly like what's going to happen. So Tyler Wood going to come away with the victory here. They're going to freeze the field. That's going to put Wood, Zeems, Goodrow are your 1, 2, 3.
We'll see how this plays out here. That's what we're hearing from race control now to the drivers. Drivers are now being told they are now able to leave the track here. So the race is now done with Tyler Wood with the checkered. We were down to about 40 seconds on the clock, by the way. We were just now hearing as well. So an interesting finish to this one. And your race winner again is Tyler Wood in the 22 machine as they get ready for qualifying for race number 3. Take the time to look towards, believe if we can, the unofficial results here. We're curious how this plays out again. Very unofficial, but Wood is your race winner. Second on back shuffled. Cox, Bush, Zeems, Goodrow, Kibbe, Harlett, Maconi, Hand, and Gettings, rounding out your top 10.
And these unofficial results coming in, and 11th Galinas, followed by Nordstrom, Eiler, Zeems, Cato, Wallace, Dean, Harlow, Momboyket, and Trevor Vogel coming home in 20th there.
Rest of the field, Ralph, Matson, Apgar, along with Elijah, Hughes, Axum. Your DNF's 2 drivers did not start tonight. Curious finish to race number 2, to be quite frank. But in the end, Tyler Wood with the victory. Will he be standing by after what was an interesting finish here, but a dominating performance? Tyler Wood, real quickly, how do you feel about winning the second race of the night?
Well, it felt great. I mean, I might have an advantage per se since I go there. I'm there every week. I ran a Stafford league during the COVID situation until Stafford opened up. So I have a good idea how to run there, and really just stay out of trouble, stay up front. Is the best thing to do.
As well, good recovery as well from the craziness that was Richmond, including you being on your lid. But still 2 more races to go. Iowa, New Hampshire. Your quick thoughts on those 2 tracks.
Iowa's going to be pretty much flat out, depending on if we were going to run the top to get the momentum or just run the bottom, probably bottom shot cars every once in a while. New Hampshire's going to be drafting for sure. That's always fun to be at New Hampshire.
Yeah, a lot to discuss for that when that race gets underway, especially with the restrictor plates there. Quickly, who do you want to thank for your victory in race 2?
Well, I'd like to thank Jeff and for putting this on. Obviously, Legacy Esports, Oculus, Glasses, Butt Kicker, Abruzzi Racewear. Thank all of them for supporting us.
Congratulations on the victory in race number 2. We'll let you get
Thank
to
you.
Q. Tower Wood off to qualify for race number 3. Quick step aside, Iowa Speedway is up next. Welcome back, everyone. This time to the virtual Iowa Speedway for more coverage of the Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series. Justin Prince, DJ Clark, Sean Ambrose in the director's seat as we get all ready to go for the second half of tonight's action, this time at Iowa Speedway. This leg of the competition sponsored by Maconi Setup Shop. As these competitors get all set to go for tonight, it's another different track, a D-shaped oval similar to Richmond, but it doesn't drive like it, to say the very least, especially with the bumps in the corners, DJ.
That's right. This was supposed to be a cookie cutter of Richmond, designed and built by Rusty Wallace, but it has turned out to be something different entirely. It's a little bit longer, 7/8 of a mile, with 12 to 14 degrees of progressive banking around it. You mentioned the bumps. They are miserable coming through turn 1. You're going to feel them. You're going to get jolted. You're going to have to fight through that. And coming through turn 2, it is turn 3 and 4 rather. It is one of the hardest corners to take on the grid. Very, very difficult. That wall comes up out of you out of nowhere. It is very, very deceptive.
Now, what's going to clarify the results as talked about at the end of the last race unofficial? Still lots to sort out, but one thing that is now sorted, it's the start of race number 3, meaning it's time to look at how they will start. Roswell Harlow starts on the pole, separated by 3/100 of a second, over Dustin Momboy Kent, his best qualifying run of the evening so far. Tyler Wood and Kenny Zeems, I should rather say, have been two of the fastest drivers throughout the night. They are third and fourth. Wood was your winner in the last race. Zeems, your runner-up in the first race. Axum and P5, Dean, along with Jelinus, your race 1 winner. Ross Cato, Levi Cox, Brett Nordstrom rounding out your top 10.
Eric Stout and Ken Zeems bringing up row 6, followed by Matthew Hughes and Corey Hallett in row 7. Row 8's made up of 10th Goodrow and Kenny Kibbe, 19th Philip Bush, 20th Charles Gettings. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Drivers looking to say, yes, I gained some spots tonight. Jeffrey Wallace involved with some trouble in race 2, starts 21st. Apgar, Elijah, Hand, Ralph Matson, Joseph Ralph. Rounding out your 27 qualifiers, rest of the drivers watching from the pit lane up in the race tower tonight. Once again, virtual Iowa Speedway, all set to host tonight's racing. Temperatures slightly different, 69 air temp, 71 track temp. Once again, just past 10:20 p.m. Still a lot of potential differences in how these drivers could run tonight, because I've seen the bottom work here, DJ, before in some cars. Seen the middle line work. Your thoughts on what you expect to see when this green flag drops in about 2 laps of pace laps?
Well, from what we saw at Richmond, I would tend to make a gamble that the bottom line is going to be the fastest line. That said, if you've got the car feeling good, you can make a run on the super high line. Just keep your momentum up as much as possible. So you're going to see a lot of lines coming through here. That's going to mean 2, probably 3 wide even coming through on a lot of this. And it's going to be really fascinating to watch. Hopefully we can stay clean as long as possible, get some good racing in here at Iowa.
Drivers all set to go as one driver wants to already chase the pace car. That's Dustin Momboy Kent. Set to go, and now, based on the speed we've seen so far, who are some of the contenders you think for this 3rd race on the calendar out of 4 tonight?
Well, I think you have to look at the top guys from Richmond. Like we've said before, very similar tracks here. So I'm going to be looking at Verlene Jelinus. I'm going to be looking at Kenny Zeems. I'm also going to be looking at Dustin Momboy-Kett here. Finally good to see him up in a high position. But really and truly, I'm going to be looking at the top 5. These past 2 races have shown us time and time again, track position is everything. It keeps you out of accidents, and it keeps you up at the front. So look at the top 5.
Very curious to see how this all plays out. Again, green flag this upcoming time by. 3rd race out of 4 for the Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series tonight. Who else are you keeping an eye on, or what tendencies should we rather keep an eye on from the drivers, especially with it being your overall championship time after the 4th race in about an hour or so from now?
I think you're going to be looking to see some guys really making some moves near the back. Guys that haven't been doing that well are going to be going, just as hard as they can trying to get a good win. But I think you're going to see a more conservative race from guys like Tyler Wood, Bailey Galinas, Kenny Zeems, these guys that are trying to now go for the championship. We're seeing championships slip away from people. For those that it's in grasp, it's going to be a conservative race.
Pace car making its way off the track this time by. It's Roswell Harlow and Dustin Momboy-Kett on the front row. Race 3 of the 2020 Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series is all set to go. We're underway from Iowa and a late start to the front row. 2-3-1 as they go into turn 1 for the first time tonight.
And you see this field start to spread out a little bit of bump draft going on there. Looks like between Kenny Zeems and Dustin Momboy-Kett. It's that high line working for Momboy-Kett, getting a good run there, as we'll have to see if he can make it around Axum coming down the main straight.
Tyler Wood got shuffled on and is losing several positions early on, already outside the top 5. But Ross Harlow already up to 1st. Tyler Axum already up to 2nd spot, gained 3 spots off the jump.
He did indeed, as we continue to see these guys going side by side. That's Momboy-Kett and Zeems just trading it back and forth. It looks like that Momboy-Kett can get an advantage halfway through the corner, but that shorter distance that Zeems has got to travel on the low line is paying off well, as we are now 3 laps down. Hopefully see some good racing. They're getting really close coming out of 2.
Bit of a squeeze that time. It's still side by side, 2 rows deep. And there's Joe Ines nearly taking it and taking it 3 wide. Nearly hit the Nerf bar for Dustin Monboy-Kett. Now on the high side. Still getting squeezed from the bottom side is Kenny Zeems. Looking like that middle line is the best line so far. Tonight is contact. There goes the 78. Caution flag is out as Zeems spins in the middle of the pack. Hard hit from several others.
Oh, that's going to be a heartbreaker there as he was having a great run as we go to replay here. Kenny Zeems coming into turn 1, really close with everybody, just comes down. Oh, and there's the hit. Jelinas and Zeems, he gets spun around. Good job there to avoid, and just the rest of the field has nowhere to go.
By the way, that just so happened to be Ken Zeems. With the major shot while upside down, so both the Zeems involved in the early incident. Kenny Zeems, for obvious reasons, on a tow truck racing deal is the call for that first caution. What I was going to say, Iowa Speedway's been known for putting on great racing. Was watching actually a modified race in preparation for some various things a few weeks ago with some of the competitors you actually see tonight, DJ, and those drivers could put on a lot of great battles side by side for several laps here.
You're completely correct. This is one of my favorite short tracks in the continental United States. I absolutely adore this place. It's wide enough to be able to run well. It's technical, so you can't really, yes, it is flat out, but you have to be holding onto the car and really hearing and listening to what it's doing. As you saw here, though, you can run 3 wide. As Jelinas making that amazing move up in between 2 cars. That's Iowa. That's what this track does.
Both the teams, by the way, down either in the pit lane or out of the race. So at this point now, we've already seen the bottom line not be the strong line. Do you think it will rubber up eventually, though, based on what you've seen at Iowa? Or no?
I frankly don't. If the low line's not working now, I think it's just going to continue to lose as the race goes along. That high line seems to be the way to go. The problem running it is that you just can maybe lose a hair of grip as you go on up there, but that momentum is what it's all about, because we're seeing something new here that we really haven't had a chance to see before, and you heard Wood talk about it during our interview. It's drafting. You're hitting high enough speeds where the draft comes into play, and you want as much momentum as you can get to capitalize on that draft.
Yeah, I think one of the drivers jokingly referred to it almost like as super late model chip. That's one from Race Control, believe that. As still lined up behind the pace car, it's Harlow, Axum, Monboy-Kett, Cox, Wood, Nordstrom, Cato, Maconi, Hughes, Goodrow, rounding out your top 10. By the way, your biggest mover? By the way, just so happens to be one of your biggest movers from early on tonight in Jeffrey Wallace, who's a +9, up to 12th already. Just seems like that 71 just so happens to know, even if he struggles in qualifying, he can stay out of the trouble and gain tons of positions all the way up towards the end.
And sometimes that's just what you got to do. You know, there are guys that you just can't get the 1 lap pace down, but you put them into the middle of a race and their racecraft is superb, and Jeffrey Wallace really proving that he's one of those drivers tonight. Also, Trent Goodrow, another big mover, up 7 positions, as well as Jeffrey Mancini, also up 7 in 8th.
It's again Maconi, referring to in the +7.
That's right. I don't know why I said that. That's my fault.
I think he'll forgive you as we stay lined up for an additional pace lap. Keep in mind the pace laps can be fairly long in Iowa, up to 4 to 5 on average. So that can make time a little bit more tighter here, because we're talking minute and 5-second pace laps. That's 5 minutes on average per caution.
Yeah, it looks like for the 3rd time tonight, we very well may be running into that time limit again, so we'll have to keep an eye on that as we just cross over about the 5-minute and 25-second mark. I would imagine that we're going to see the lights go out on the pace car this time by, so we should be able to see some good action starting again.
Both the teams are now officially out of the race, so 25 still running. As we get ready to get back on our way, lights expected out this time, and they are extinguished. Harlow and Axum, row 1, Monboy-Kett and Cox, row 2, Wood and Nordstrom in row 3, Cato and Maconi in row 4, Hughes and Goodrow rounding out your top 10 in your first 5 rows. Again, this is going to be fairly entertaining to see which drivers are able to draft their way up towards the front and try and take this race lead away, especially from the great starts we've seen from Axum, from as well Nordstrom, and several others early on in this one.
Yeah, and I think one of the guys to watch here is going to be Levi Cox running that high line as he lines up, be able to get a draft off of Dustin Axum. It's going to be very, very fun to see.
Already near Nerf Barn sights between Harlow and Axum. That's how much of a squeeze there is amongst the top two. Pace car drives off to the bottom of the track. Huge shots. Momboy Kent wants Harlow to go. Harlow gives him that shot as we're back in our way. Harlow trying to get clear. No one does, as they're still side by side, a couple rows deep in the back.
They are, as you watch here, Harlow drifting up the track a little bit, giving Axum a route to maybe pull off an over-under as he's going to maybe try to go down the inside, but they get touched. There's contact.
Harlow into the wall. Caution is out. And he gets hit again. Kyle Dean hit him a second time as Axum tried to dive into the bottom of the racetrack, and the Mystique driver on the back bumper ends up making a bit of contact just with the edge of the Nerf bar to the 65 for a second yellow.
Oh, just a bit of a heartbreak there. It was so that actually, that final hit there is absolutely brutal for Harlow, effectively ending his night.
Kyle Dean out of the race, and that's for expected reasons, as Harlow is also now in the pits. About a fifth away through race 3. Harlow also of confirming he is now also done for the action. So that puts Thomas Axum, not the way I think he wanted there, DJ, into the race lead for the first time tonight.
No, I don't think that was malicious on either driver. You know, just trying to come down from Harlow, cover off the main line, and Axum just driving that main line in, having a good run and a draft on him. That's, however cliche it is to say, that's a racing incident. That's what happens on short tracks.
Under caution, 38 to go this time by race number 3 of the Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series. Continue after this, you're watching the Global SimRacing Channel for the virtual Iowa Speedway. 23 cars on track still as we're just about to get back on our way for race number 3 of the Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series. The virtual Iowa Speedway. Justin Prince, DJ Clark, Sean Ambrose in the director's seat. Your thoughts on the action so far as we get ready to get back on the green?
Well, it's been some pretty good side-by-side and even three-way action, just hoping to stay green as long as we can. Looking like that high lane is going to be the way to go here as the field makes their way back to the green. It's going to be a fun restart, as it always is at Iowa.
Ready as the pace car goes off in turns 3 and 4. Way back this time is Thomas Axum. Way early on the jump, back on her way. One car in the middle of the bottom line tried to jump at 3-4 wide into turn 1.
I couldn't see who that was, but oh man, there's some good action in the back. As it looks like Axum gets a pretty decent run here. He, Mummergy and Levi Cox spreading out into 1, 2, 3 as behind them, Jeffrey Maconi and Ross Cato going side by side trying to make something happen.
Yeah, Momboy Kett feeling the pressure as we take a look at that battle side by side. Cox been very consistent so far as he moves to the bottom. Jeff Maconi now joins the fun as well as a bit of bobbling as Wood now joins the fight as well as he tries to recover from his rough start to this one.
Momboy Kett trying to make a look on the inside, seeing if he can make that work. I don't think he's got the position, but look out for Jeffrey Maconi behind him as he dives all the way to that low line.
Approaching time factor is now what we're hearing. 12 minutes on the clock. Contact as Momboy Kett pushed up the racetrack by Jeff Maconi. And caution is out as a driver to the back of the field is spun. The 57, and Goodrow's been wrecked under yellow. So 2 separate incidents, DJ. One that triggers the caution, and a second one under yellow.
That's right. As we take a look here at the first incident, I believe going around, just gets loose, gets up, saves it. Ooh, manages to skip everybody. The yellow comes out here. It's as simple as that. As I think we're going to take a look now at Jeffrey Wallace getting the turn there.
Yeah, so the entry to turn 3 just as the yellow came out right here. Bam. And Philip Bush, what a job to try and dodge that, but unfortunately hit several drivers trying to get around all of that as, for obvious reasons, EOL given to Jeffrey Wallace.
Yeah, very much his fault there as he just couldn't get a control in the car. And an absolute heartbreak there for Trent Goodrow, really putting in a good race and now going to have to start in the back again and try to work his way up with about 10 minutes to go here in this race.
By the way, because of the timing of the caution flag, it wasn't the point where he could keep the track position. Unfortunate too, absolutely. He has to let cars go as a result. So Axum, Cox, Maconi now in the top 3. Wood, Momboy, Kett. Bit of tempers may flare up here a little bit as, especially that Nerf bar contact for that battle for third.
Yeah, it was certainly getting a little punchy up in there. Maconi really just forcing his way past Momboy Kett. Certainly a little bump and run there, but I have to say Maconi driving like he has got a fire in his belly. Watch for him on this restart. He has been aggressive going into that low line. We saw him dive all the way to the yellow line on the main straight, really trying to make anything work that he can. He's clearly driving with fire.
Of course, that is the Maconi of Maconi Setup Shop and the sponsor for Race 3. So do you blame him? He's racing for his own money back, so to speak, if that's a proper phrasing, so to speak.
Well, you know, if I'm running a setup shop, I think one of the best ways to show that I know how to set up a car is by winning a race. So I do not blame Jeff at all for pushing ahead as hard as he can.
He's a plus 12 on the race, as you see on the bottom of the screen, from 15th up to 3rd. That's in span at about half this race, just about. As mentioned, though, DJ, because of the length of the pace laps, looking like another freezing of the field scenario. 9 minutes are on the clock already. And we haven't turned more than 21 laps this time by on the track, unfortunately.
We haven't. I genuinely think that this is going to be another just crazy, as fast and as hard as you can couple of laps, probably, unfortunately, until we get another caution flag. These guys know how races feel. If you've been in a car and you've been in that situation, you know when a race is yellow heavy. And the past 2 races have proved these races are yellow heavy. So you have to get a move on. Go to the front as hard as you can.
Keep in mind, next race in New Hampshire is not going to be easier because, how do I put this? It's been described of in the past, if you think back to the eNASCAR Ignite series, back when it held races at the virtual New Hampshire Motor Speedway for the past couple of years, as the restrictor plate race of the modified schedule. So it's not going to be any more easier for that final race, especially to try and pass.
No, it's not. The only thing that we'll see a little bit coming into it is a hair more drafting. The other thing to take in mind is that New Hampshire is a lot like Iowa in this. It is notorious for long caution flags, long caution periods. So we could see another situation to finish out this series of 4 races where we end under yellow once again at New Hampshire.
Again, time now the official factor. As we get ready to go back racing, it's Axum, Cox, Maconi, Wood, Monboy-Kett, Rotzkato, Nordstrom, Hughes, Kibbe, Vogel. Now rounding out the top 10. As the Vogel fan club going to be happy to see their driver inside the top 10. Approaching halfway on the laps, but there is an estimate of about 20 green flag laps coming in 19 this time by, so the importance to keep it green will be paramount for everyone in the field if they want to take the checkered under green flag conditions.
Indeed it will, and we just got to hope these guys keep tempers in check and just see some good, clean racing, because I would love to see this thing go green to the end, as Iowa always produces a good race when it does.
Looking like Axum is going to go early again, backing up the field even more this time, as the pace car drops off this time by the 13 of Axum, looking to become the 3rd different race winner of the night. He's off and away, catches the rest of the bottom line sleeping. Maconi trying to go to the bottom. Cox trying to keep the middle line as Wood tries to follow suit with Monboy-Kett.
Maconi once again taking that aggressive approach into 1. Cox here trying to keep the momentum up on the outside. And they're going to be side by side going into 1. And behind them, you see Monboy-Kett and Wood doing the same thing. Good racing all the way back through the field as we're clean through the first lap on this restart.
And look at Wood with the aggressive move behind Monboy-Kett. Trying to take advantage of the draft, and Monboy-Kett moves up Maconi. Remember, they had contact in the early stages of this race. Side by side, 2 rows deep, as Axum is now the fastest car on the track. Caution is out, and another spin in the back of the field puts us back under yellow from P12, and it's, yes indeed, that machine. It's Corey Harlan from 12th position.
As you watch here, Corey going around, I don't think that was any contact. I think that was just a situation of him getting a little loose. So you go overhead, you can see, yep, that was a non-contact with him. As we talked about earlier in the broadcast, we haven't brought it up recently. Watching out to get that power down. It looks like he was just a little too aggressive putting the power in, spun the rear tires, and the whole car went along with it.
Race control just telling its drivers now it will trying to, as much as they can, have one final restart. But here's the thing, again, it's going to be tight with it being Iowa. There were 5 minutes even on the clock, so it'd be a couple lap shootout at the most. Again, similar situation to what we may have had at Stafford.
Yeah, a bit of a heartbreak for these guys who up front have really been running a very, very good race. Obviously, a little bit of contact here and there, but that's to be expected when you're on a short track. Hopefully, we can get a good 3 or 4 lap shootout, because I think this may be one of the first times that we were able to see somebody really make a good pass for the lead. Even though Thomas Axum has been nailing these restarts and just staying out ahead of absolutely everyone.
But I mean, he is one of those drivers who has battled against Kuhn and Monboy-Kett, has been known to be very quick against them. His affiliation outside of short track racing is one of the better teams in the Road to Pro Series this year in Nexus Esports. He is a strong driver in his own outright, so it's difficult, to say the very least, to beat Thomas Axum when he has been on his game, DJ, and when he's been on his game in this one.
Oh, don't get me wrong. He's not going to make this easy by any stretch of the imagination. Axum clearly has this track dialed in. He's racing it well. He's getting great restarts off the line. And more than that, he's running a darn near perfect line through the corners. Absolutely nailing the apex. No tire spin coming off the line. But as we've seen, I like this pairing coming up to the line. I like Jeffrey Maconi being outside of him. I like the aggressiveness Maconi's been taking. I think that can make for a really, really interesting way to get going, as well as Dustin Monboyquette. He's got a chance to be able to do something here on the inside line. You know, when you're running in these races, even if you have triple monitors, I think the preferred position on restarts is P3 because you're able to keep a closer eye on that first place car who does dictate the pace than when the minute the pace car pulls off.
A little bit more involvement in your race leader, by the way. Bridgewater, Massachusetts driver, former Ice Bowl champion, former winner of the Oxford 250. Currently affiliated on the short tracks with Team AKR. 2000-born driver. By the way, his quote, if you look towards his iRacing profile, is just so happens to be a quote from Jelinas, who is currently up to 8th again, DJ, for the closing stages here.
That's right. He's down a spot from where he started, but being involved in that early incident, good to see him coming back up again. He and Tyler Wood are obviously two of the guys who are doing very well on points right now, so they both need to have a good shot here to be able to get into a position to win the championship coming into New Hampshire.
Drivers being told, be careful. Give space, and that's one of the main things. Is there's the difference between racing and racecraft. Racing, I think we both, of course, know involves racing competitors, lots of battling. But if you don't have the racecraft, DJ, that's where you see the contact. You see drivers try to send it 17 wide down the back straightaway. That's where you see mistakes come in, as well as the need for race management, as called by many in real world pit crew and drivers who race in the service.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to be able to take into consideration when you're trying to deal with both of those things. The racecraft of it all is honestly the most important part of it is patience. Knowing when, you know what, I could make that pass, but I've got a tendency if I go into that corner to wash up, and if I'm coming in at that speed, I will wash up, maybe cause an accident. The more experience you have, the better racecraft you have. You're going to be more patient. You're going to make a good move, but you're going to make it at the right time.
Again, to reset, expecting a 1 to 2 lap shootout. A minute is on the clock. Axum, Maconi, Monboyquette, Cox, Wood, Nordstrom, Kibbe, Jelinas, along with Hughes and Vogel among your top 10 drivers for what is expected to be the final restart. Pace car is off, green flag is out, back on our way, 40 seconds are on the clock.
Axum not able to get as good of a jump as he did that last time, as we now got 3 wide with Cox making a great move down the inside. Maconi gets forced out way wide, and here comes Dustin Monboyquette coming down the backstretch.
Maconi was shuffled way up out of the racing line as a result of contact. Axum now had to play defense. Single file behind him. White flag expected this time on time. 16 seconds on the clock. We'll have to see. This is the last one, the second last lap. Expecting the white flag this time as Monboyquette provides pressure. Wood trying to attack Cox behind. One last chance as Axum tries to run away. Monboyquette trying to defend 2 lines for second. Checker flag now up in the air. It's Thomas Axum winning race 3 of the Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series.
And an amazing finish there between Levi Cox and Tyler Wood. I think Cox just pipped him. He did. Absolutely side-by-side photo finish. Great finish there. Great to see something end like that.
An exciting finish to this one. Let's quickly look towards the results, and we can tell you, again, unofficial, as Axum, your race winner, Monboyquette second, Cox, Wood, Kibbe, Jelinas, Maconi, Nordstrom, Vogel, and Hughes, your top 10.
Coming home in 11th is going to be Joseph Ralph, followed by Harold Ralph, Philip Bush, Trent Goodrow, Jason Hand, Jeffrey Wallace, Ross Caddo, Charles Gedlings, Corey Hallett, and John Apgar coming home in 20th.
Rest of the field back towards 22nd on the lead lap. Elijah Matson, rest of the field, DNF, Stout, Harlow, Dean, and the Zienses did not finish. But it's Thomas Axum, your winner of race 3 of the night. Getting ready for one last race on the cards. Thomas, how does it feel to win race number 3 in this event?
Pretty good. Went for the first race. We were all excited to do it, and I lagged out, was unable to qualify. But I got back in there, got my lap sled back, and just tried to push through from there. Finished 13th because I had to stop the race. Next race got wrecked, and I said, well, I need to win one of these, and I was really aiming for Loudon, but we won that one, and now we're going to see if we can do the same thing again.
If I just heard correctly, you're into Loudon, which just so happens for you be a regional track. As you're part of New England and from Massachusetts, your thoughts on that race to close out the night?
Definitely my favorite track. This was out of all of them. This is what I was actually here for, so definitely really excited to get after it. Favorite track to spot at and drive in iRacing, especially with the Tour Modify. This is my bread and butter right here.
Real quick, who do you want to thank for your victory tonight?
Dustin Marquette just finished right behind me in that last race. Good 1 and 2 for the RKM Ryan Key Motorsports team. Shout out to Ryan and shout out to Trent Goodrow. He's also in the points in this and doing really well. And shout out to this league and you guys putting on the broadcast. Pretty awesome.
Thank you very much for the time, Thomas.
No problem.
Thomas Axum, winner of race number 3 tonight. As mentioned, working with Ryan Kuhn and company. Many drivers who originally were a part of Nexus Esports at the beginning of the year. But with that, race 4 to close out the night is at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Stick around. One last race on the cards for the Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series. One final race on the cards tonight on the Global SimRacing Channel. We're now at the virtual New Hampshire Motor Speedway for what's expected to be an exciting final race on the cards tonight. Sunrise for the competitors this evening as we are just about set to go for tonight's racing action. As you now see here, the beautiful race cars here at the Magic Mile. Qualifying is already wrapped up, and several drivers looking to bounce back, several drivers looking to continue their momentum to try and determine who wins the $100 tonight for the overall top prize. Zeems is on the pole. Kenny Zeems, Roswell Hardwell, Eric Stout, Tyra Wood, Hughes, Goodrow, Ken Zeems, Levi Cox, Kenny Kibbe, Kyle Dean round out your top 10.
Coming home in 11th is Raj Cato, followed by Brett Nordstrom, Philip Bush, Jason Hand, Bailey Jelinas, Trevor Vogel, Mackenzie Galeja, Jeffrey Wallace, Corey Hallett, and Harold Ralph bringing home in 20th.
Deep in the field tonight, Jason Matson, 30.037 in qualifying, the slowest time showing Apgar. Axum, not even set a qualifying time with the tightness at the finish, with Bomboy Kent, Maconi, Kopek, Ralph, and Apgar rounding out the drivers in session. 28 competitors ready to go here. Overall, expecting 26 to take the green flag. So New Hampshire Motor Speedway, known as the Magic Mile, a track with a lot of history, opened in the 1990s, and Bob Bear helped bring this track to life, was also the owner of Oxford Lanes and helped the rise of short track racing, more so on the late models in the northern New England regions. We're about to see the modifieds, though, battle here in southern New England, here at this racetrack. Your thoughts, DJ, on New Hampshire?
Well, this is going to be a draft central. As we see everything go down here, the long straightaways, this just a hair over a mile long circuit, relatively flat. Once again, corner exits are going to be mega. You're going to see drafting, you're going to see passing going in here, but the ultimate thing is get down to that low line. Like we saw in Stafford, it's really hard to run a high line around here with the absence of banking. That's what you got to look for. You're going to see fights pushing down onto that grass. Once again, also like Stafford, you don't really want to run that apron. You get down on that, there's a change in gradient, you get on that yellow line, there's a little bit of slippery. It's going to be tricky.
We have official confirmation of points for this start. Cox is in the lead with 12, Kibbe with Jelinas in the top 4, Maconi in 4th. Off and away for the gears, race 4. The Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series is underway. Drivers try to straighten themselves out. One car off and around. It's Jelinas. Caution is out. He saved it, but damage already on the 78 with a quick first yellow in corner 1.
That's right. It looks like he just spun around a little bit. As we go to instant replay here, you can see everybody trying to keep it alive. Jelinas going in that 3 wide in the middle there. Comes in. Oh, that has to be one of the worst net codes I have ever seen. That bump from him, that is heartbreaking for Jelinas.
Great save, though, to keep it out of the rest of the field. Just a little bit of Nerf bar damage, but sort of back out. But with those totals in mind, keep in mind, Cox, he's been there in the top 5 this entire run. That's in part why he's been able to stay up towards the front. For drivers like we've seen from the 78, he's had to recover 2 straight races from the back of the grid.
He has, and he's done it well, but that doesn't make it any less hard for him to do. So we're going to have to see what happens here in terms of this standings right now. If they finish the way it would, Levi Cox would come home your winner. But watch out for Kenny Kibbe. He's going to be trying to make a hard press up forward.
Get longer pace laps here and a chance for the drivers to take a deep breath. No position changes outside of Momboy Ket, who surprised would gain 5 spots in one corner, and Jeff Maconi, who gained 4 spots. Joseph Rout also gained 2 spots. So it's similar to what we've seen at Stafford. Several of the drivers have to cut through the field and quickly to get valuable track position, although guys like Kibbe, for example, have decent track position in 11th.
They do, and you really took the words out of my mouth. The 2 guys who really watch during this race are going to be Dustin Momboy Ket and Jeffrey Maconi, 2 guys that have run strong these entire 3 races, pushing their way forward, having to fight their way up through the field. I would also, as we heard Thomas Axum talk about in our interview after he won the last race at Iowa, he started all the way back in the field. He's already up 8 positions to 15th, so he's another one to keep your eye on as they try to fight up and get into the high parts of this field.
Still light, still on top of the pace car, by the way. And based on how you practice things, you talked about it's usually loose on corner entry. A couple drivers are actually so far happy on the span of 1 corner. Apparently, Momboy Ket, for those positions gained, is telling his competitors right now He was able to cut from the top of the wall down to the apron in the span of one corner, DJ.
Yeah, here corner entry can be a lot of fun. You've got a lot of different lines to pick, but the point of it is you have to get down to that perfect apex to be able to get it off corner exit. The way New Hampshire is set, it is wide enough to make you think you can go 3 or 4 wide, but the truth of the matter is there's only one line around here that's fast, but it means you can start wide and come down low, as my boy Ket did on that first lap.
Again, your biggest mover again is Thomas Axum, who was really looking forward to tonight's action. As we talked about, this is the race he was looking forward to the most, one at Iowa. He's already up 8 spots to 15th in the span of one set of corners. That's a lot of positions to gain in about not even a half a mile.
It is, and it shows just what he was saying, that this track is his bread and butter. He knows how to do it, and he knows how to run it well. So keep your eye on that car as it continues to sight its way up through the field. All these tracks known for their ability to overtake, known for the ability to overtake on them, and I think New Hampshire in particular can get really fun if you know how to do it right.
For those keeping track at home with the golf scores, Cox is currently in the best position to come away with the $100 top prize. Kenny Kibbe needs to finish 3 positions ahead of Cox to come away with that title, while Joannis needs to finish 6 positions ahead of Levi Cox's number 8 machine, while Jeff Maconi needs to finish 8 positions ahead. So those are the numbers you have to think about. That's not going to be easy, especially since Cox has been a staple inside the top 10 the entire night.
He has, and he's really been just keeping the mantra of keeping his Nerf bars out of trouble, as it were. Not really getting hit with a lot of big incidents or DNFs, and that's the way you win championships. I think Cox is going to be really, really hard to beat tonight. Kibbe's got a chance, obviously, as does Maconi, but, you know, I think the only way that they're going to be able to pull it off is if something happens to Cox.
Want to go this time? Ziens, Harlow, Wood, Stout, Goodrow, along with Hughes, Cox, Dean, Ken Ziens, Brett Nordstrom, your top 10 on the racetrack. Kenny Ziens looking to try and take home a victory. He's been having some bad luck the past couple races, but remember, was the fastest car much of the night at Richmond to start the history of this event. Ready to go once again for the Magic Mile. Ziens and Harlow on the front row. Pace car is off. Green flag is out.
Great start there from Kenny Ziens as he really gets the power down. Harlow now under attack from Wood, who's diving up the inside. I think he's got the third line going into the corner. Wood staying low, Harlow staying high. It looks like Harlow's going to be able to carry the momentum, and it looks like that line is even going to put Tyler Wood into the clutches of Trent Goodrow for 3rd place.
And again, a rough start to a run for Wood on the bottom specifically. Up goes Goodrow, up to the 3rd position, single file much of the field, and now this is where the draft starts to factor in for many of the drivers. Have to be bold on some of these passes like we see from Cox in the middle of the pack.
Cox really knowing where he is, not taking my advice of taking it easy, and instead just pushing forward as hard as he can, as you see 3 wide there in the background as we continue to blast down this back stretch.
That's Jeff Maconi and company trying to make it 3 wide, and by the way, Thomas Axum is inside the top 10. It's lap 8. What a start for him, and what a start for Maconi, up 13 spots. Still trying to go down the back is still more cars. With the caution. Matson, Galaja, several others involved to the back of the field, 20th on back.
We take a replay here to see what happened as we watch Galaja come around. Looks like there's just a lot of guys in front of him getting together, and he had nowhere to go. That was just trying to fit too many cars into an area that only one would go through.
And that's the difficult part of New Hampshire, because the front stretch is like a funnel effect. Someone loses it off of 4, good luck trying to dodge it.
As you just see those cars ping-pong back and forth. I'm not sure who that is that almost made it through there, but rough wreck in the back that obviously doesn't look like it takes out any of our title contenders here. But as you were saying, Thomas Axum up 14. Levi Cox also having a really good run in that last couple, up 3, up to 5th place, cementing his lead in the top of the championship.
So some good runs early on. Green Trevor Vogel done for the night. Kenzie Galaja also expect to be done as he's now done pit lane as well. Like, Joe Idness is not on the lead lap at the moment, so he is currently out of range for the position battle for the title. So in other words, it's going to be difficult to keep up and try and outpoint Cox unless he has some bad luck go his way, especially the way Cox has just been able to consistently drive it clean, while others who have shown the speed have had some ups and downs on the season, or rather the entire night throughout the 4 races of this Summer Super Series.
They have indeed. Cox just proving that the tortoise beats the hare almost every time, slow and steady winning the race. But I wouldn't necessarily count this out yet. Jeffrey Maconi really putting in a great performance. He is up 13 places. Really was able to jump ahead through that field. It's going to be very hard for him to beat Cox. I think he needs to beat him by about 20 points. But at the same time, great performance from him.
Again, 8 positions rather, the separation between them in the standings. The closest is still Kenny Kibbe. Let's talk a little bit about him. Part of Nocturnal Gaming, drives in various different short track and oval series on the iRacing service. Was a contender for the top 5, also races on dirt. By the way, he's supposed to be on the track in about 45 minutes or so for the next broadcast of the Global SimRacing Channel, the BRL Grand National Series, where he looks to try and get in our top 5 in that. So in other words, Kibbe is going to be very busy tonight with what has been a solid night tonight in the Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series already so far.
He is, and he is constantly proving what we all know to be true, which is one of the better oval drivers on the iRacing service. And obviously, for any of you watching at home, that bright orange paint scheme, very easy to follow. Kibbe has consistently been able to run well at every race. If you remember watching him at Stafford, he was really able to kind of work that middle line a little bit better. So don't be surprised as time goes along in this race if he starts to try to experiment a little bit, see what he can do, maybe try to take a more unorthodox approach into a corner to see if he can get a couple of jumps up the field.
Drivers being told to bunch him up, expecting due to green this time, wave around as well at the 78. Jelinas will get his lap back on the racetrack, and has for 23rd position. So once again, go ahead.
I was going to say it'll be interesting to see if he will be able to make up any positions once again, contingent on if Levi Cox has something happening to him, but sitting right now in the 3rd place in the championship, he needs to have a good run here to have any chance of winning.
And the crazy thing when it comes to 78, again, he's done it with 2 incidents early on and 2 recovery drives to get back in the top 10.
He has. He's proven he knows how to go from the back to the front, and he's going to be looking to do that again.
To reset, Kenny Zeems, Roswell Harlow, Trent Goodrow, Tyler Wood, Levi Cox, Eric Stout, Ken Zeems, Matthew Hughes, Thomas Axum, Brett Nordstrom. Your top 10 drivers on the track. Coming for the restart, Kibbe Maconi also expected to keep an eye on in row 6 on the circuit. So the one to go this time by, and as expected, time factor already past halfway nearly on the clock, 13.5 minutes to go.
We're looking like we're going to have another timed race, as you said. Probably, hopefully this time we will have it end under green as we did last time, but time will have to tell as these cautions just seem to drag here at New Hampshire.
Gives you a lot of time, though, to think about your potential strategy and potential moves. What would you do if you're some of these competitors needing a win or to gain a lot of positions to try and outpoint someone like Levi Cox for that $100 prize?
If I'm trying to catch Levi Cox, what I'm doing is I am trying to go where everybody else is not. I want to find a way that I can get around quick, maybe run a little bit higher, cut low, try to do something a little unexpected to try to jump up through the field. If I'm Levi Cox, the brake pedal is my friend. I am going to want to be as cautious and careful as possible as here we go to the green.
Off and away, and as you've seen, Zeems elected to take the high side. The first time anyone's done that tonight. Harlow holding on to the bottom side for P2. Tyler Wood, though, trying to take advantage as he wheels it up top. So is Goodrow as he tries to pass Levi Cox out of 2.
Cox got a great jump off that restart, really jumping himself up into this leading pack
Caution.
here.
And another incident down the back, and several drivers with blown engines. Several blown motors. Philip Bush, one of those involved. Dustin Monboy-Kett. That's going to be fun on the stream highlights from Philip Bush. Let's put it that way.
Just everybody flipping. It looks like they got up into the wall. Just some contact about halfway down the back stretch, maybe a little bit of wash coming up, and just once again, you wreck here at New Hampshire, and people are coming in behind you.
Yep, trigger from Phil Bush, as mentioned, does all those streamer highlights on a weekly basis across the iRacing service. Guess what? I think he just found another highlight, and it involves him being flipped up to the sky.
Indeed it will. Indeed it will. It'll be interesting to see his and maybe some of his other competitors' reaction on that, because I have to think Philip is not going to be happy with that flip.
For obvious reasons, off the track with Jeffrey Wallace, Dustin Monboy-Kett also involved, as you've seen there. 20 cars now running the track. As well, Jelinus coming down this time for pit stops, as well as Harlot. So time for 1 or 2 more restarts to finish off tonight's event. Not a lot of time, let's put it that way, for anybody else to try and pass by Cox and outpoint him, especially with the urgency needed at this time.
No, and on that last restart and the excitement of the front, we didn't get a chance to see or look back at Kenny Kibbe, who unfortunately dropped back a couple of positions. He's now running 11th, so seeing his title chance just slip away at each restart here.
Looking on board with Kenny Kibbe, your second driver on the points. Currently, it's a 5-point advantage for Levi Cox with the current running order. Jelinus currently fallen out of the top 3. Maconi is currently scored in P3 at this point in time for the overall race win, championship event win, I should rather say. So in other words, as long as Cox doesn't get involved in any trouble when you go back under green, the $100 is his tonight.
And it, as we've said before, it's really just a triumph to consistency from Levi Cox. He has kept his nose down. He has kept his nose clean. And even as I said that, though, if you watched him on that last restart, he was gunning for it coming into turn 1, making an aggressive move down to the inside. Didn't exactly pay off for him. He wasn't able to jump up into that top 4, but at the same time, he played it smart. He knew he wasn't going to do it. He used the brake pedal a little bit, backed out of it, and was able to keep going and not force any errors out of himself or any of his other drivers.
I have to say, the car you're on board with, this is Tyler Wood as well. He might be in line, DJ, after that start we've seen before on the high side. Try and say something about getting a second victory and be the only multi-time winner. Because when he's on the top, he makes it work well. When he's on the bottom, that's where he goes backwards.
Indeed, you're really seeing different driving styles play out here, as some guys able to make that top side work, some guys able to make bottom side work, Wood being one of the ones that makes the top side work. In order to do that, what it really is it's about constant application of throttle pedal. You can't really get out of it. It's keeping your speed constant through the corner, carrying as much as momentum as possible to be able to, on the back straight, capitalize on the draft. And so that is clearly playing off for Wood here, and it'll be interesting to see what they do, and it'll be interesting to see if Zeems decides to take the inside or outside lines, as we saw the switch around happen last time.
By the way, once again, for those tuning in, this final leg of the night is sponsored by Area 51 Racing League. It's fitting that Levi Cox is one of its top competitors, which so happened to win a few months ago at Homestead via Fuel Strategy win, and that respective series is Cup Series action. Expecting to get the green in the next few moments or so, and Kenny Zeems looking like he prefers the top side once more. And we've seen how well that was, especially the ability to arc it down from the wall that was talked about by the drivers in the mid-pack as we get the signal this time.
Yeah, it's a really good way to just maximize your speed. You want to brake as you're making that turn in, light braking, use the trail brake to kind of turn the car a little bit. If you're feeling particularly aggressive, you can actually use the apron just a hair to try to get a little bit of oversteer on the car to get it turned around and then get the power down. But honestly, that is a very aggressive maneuver that I would recommend on 2 laps to go if you're fighting for the race win. So we'll have to see what they do here.
The number to think about, less than 7 minutes on the clock. For tonight's action, for live time and scoring, be sure to head to gsrc.tv to keep an eye on where your favorite teams and drivers are for the final leg of the Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series. Already bumping and banging on the high side. Pace car dropping off turn 4. Back and away from the magic mile, Kenny Zeems brings us back to the green.
Little stutter step there from Zeems, bunched the field back up, gave a little bit of a chance there for Cox to try to make a move. Once again, doing that aggressive dive down the inside as they're now 2x2 Goodrow and Wood into second as they shoot out onto the backstretch.
Zeems again up by about 0.3 of a second. 3 wide in the middle of the pack. It's Thomas Axum really trying to send it. Squeezes out Tyler Wood to the bottom side. Side by side for third as Zeems nearly scrapes the wall. Back single file for the top 4.
Wood just plummeting down the order after that 3-wide. Clearly got scared, and you hit the nail on the head that he does not like to run that low side line. As we look at him now, just trying to make up positions, get back into it as he runs side by side right now with Eric Stout.
That drops him all the way back to P8. So back single file he goes now to the preferred middle line. You don't necessarily want to run the yellow line here in New Hampshire. Change for P3. Axum better quarter launched. Off the exit to Roswell Harlow. He tries to pull him off into turn 1. Much quicker on the apex. Can he get clear? Just about it. Squeezes out Harlow. Harlow nearly hits the wall. Big check up behind.
Great bit of driving there from Axum, just squeezing Harlow into the wall, coming down the front stretch, trying to psych him out a little bit. It was a brilliant bit, and he did it again down the back stretch, as now he sets his sight onto the top 2.
He's the fastest car on the racetrack as the top 3 single file out. The first battle is side by side for about 5th and 6th. Cox has been dropped outside the top 5 by Ken Zeems as a result. But if this stays green, Axum is in a great spot to try and win it as Goodrow tries to move to the bottom side for the race lead up in front, all while it's double file still at the end of the top 10.
As you come back in front, you see that Zeems was just able to push around that outside, keep that momentum up, and pinch Trent Goodrow a little bit, makes him fall back, but that pushes him right into the clutches of Thomas Axum as these top 3 starting to pinch up a little bit here. This is going to get really exciting.
Under 9 laps estimated to go, under 4 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock. Still, Zeems trying to hold on the Apgar Esports machines. Good run though for Axum again off the corner. He's within 1/10 of a second of the car in front. Another new fastest lap, 1/1000th of a second off the purple lap of the race.
As we jump back, you can see him on board here, really taking that wide arcing line, trying to maximize speed off a corner exit. He takes it almost to the outside as he forces Goodrow down low. He's out to the outside. He may have the momentum here to get second place.
Yes, he does. Thomas Axum up to second spot. He's got a strong chance to go 2 for 4 in the night. 8 to go this time estimated on the board.
Only about a 0.4 of a second gap when they entered turn 1 between Zeems and Axum, as Axum now is putting the pedal down, trying to go as hard as he can, chase down the leader, and as you said, become the first 2-time winner. This is where it's going to get fun. Once again, watching that wide arcing line, late apex, maximizing speed on corner exit, really trying to push forward as Kenny Zeems here in a couple of laps may come up on some lap traffic, and that'll change the dynamic of the whole race.
Your contact for the battle for third, as well as Harlow's real back end Goodrow. Not able to make it stick into turn 1, however, in that. They're back single file. Cox still where he needs to be. We are past the point where we will finish under caution because of this. Eric Stout flips to the back of the field, and the race will likely finish under yellow as a result, with trouble with the 4.
As you watch the replay here, Stout just looks like he washes up, gets into the path, flips it on over, and that's all she wrote for Eric Stout.
No penalty, so let's take a look.
You can see on the right rear here as he goes through the line, you see that wash up, boom, there it is, right into the wall. That just comes from carrying a little too much speed at the apex. And Eric Stout's night is done, and as is this race more than likely.
Drivers are speaking on the radio. Remember, we talked about this a bit, DJ, where they will try and finish with a GWC finish, and it's looking like they may lean towards that to end the night.
I know from a spectator's perspective, that is what I would like to see, because this battle between Zeems and Axum was just starting to get spectacular, and I would love to see them have a good fight to the end.
Again, 1 minute and 40 seconds on the clock on down. So on the official clock, expecting the race to finish, the question's going to be how this all fares once the time runs out. At this moment, Cox is your current points leader still for the overall night championship to be the inaugural champion of the Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series. If he finishes where he's at, Kibbe has actually lost ground to him throughout this run. So, the number 8 for Cox, as long as he keeps it clean again, he wins the $100 overall prize if there is a GWC attempt past the timer.
Yeah, and Kenny Kibbe on that last run was able to gain up 2 positions from his starting position of 11th, but still just a little bit too late. Not anywhere near Levi Cox. So it looks like Cox will take this away, provided he can just keep it clean, as you said.
Again, the time about 30 seconds or so. Under 20 laps officially. Expecting 1 lap estimated. As they will not get a 2 to green this time. We'll see how this is all played out, as that's still being discussed here. With Kenny Zeems in the lead, Axum, Goodrow, Harlow, Cox, Wood, Zeems, Hughes, Kibbe, Nordstrom, your top 10 behind the pace car, as the clock now reaches 0 this time.
We're not sure exactly how this is going to end. There's talk of maybe trying to go green-white checker, but the time has expired here at the 25-minute mark, so we will see.
See how this all plays. As now the safety car and the rest of the drivers expecting to get the lights out in the official white flag this time. Yes, indeed, expecting the checker flag official this upcoming time by to lock in the positions, at least on the board. I have to say, great drive for Zeems in this race.
And very well deserved. You know, he has been just sort of the unfortunate benefactor of a lot of nasty wrecks, little hits, net codes, that kind of thing. But Zeems has been one of the guys running at the front this entire day. So good to see him finally come home with a race win.
Absolutely. Give credit to the Axum. 21 positions gained from the start of the race. 21. He gained at least 5 to 10 per restart in some cases.
He was. Thomas Axum was not lying when he said this track was his bread and butter. He drove a spectacular race here and really and truly was starting to threaten Kenny Zeems for the end, for the lead before that last caution came out.
Checkered flag this time. Kenny Zeems wins the final leg of the Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series, while the driver who takes the overall championship is Levi Cox. Zeems and Cox, your last race winner and overall champions of the Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series for the final leg of the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. What a series. What a night, DJ.
Just an absolute incredible night of racing, close quarters, great short track action all the way around. Maconi Super Series, Super Summer Super Series, really and truly putting on exactly what it promised to be, which was just a night of pure adrenaline-filled racing.
Take a quick step aside, chance to speak with your top runners in the overall points. After this, you're watching the Global SimRacing Channel for our coverage of the Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series. Welcome back to the virtual New Hampshire Motor Speedway for post-race coverage and post-championship coverage. The Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series. This series went everywhere from Richmond to Stafford to Iowa and finally to New Hampshire. And what was a competitive series overall? One of the main constants through race 3 and 4 just so happened to be Thomas Axum, your biggest mover in the last race of the campaign, who charged up through the field 21 positions in the span, in some cases 5-10 spots in one set of corners. Thomas joins us real quickly in the broadcast booth. Thomas, P2 at your home track. How are you feeling?
Pretty good. We'll definitely take it. Just ran out of time there. Wish we didn't have to race the clock like that. The yellows just take so long. The caution just takes so long, but definitely an awesome race. It was a good win up front. Started up front and led the whole way, but I feel like if we had a couple more laps, I feel like I could have had something there.
Overall, how would you describe this championship and the need to cut through the field in a lot of the cases, as well as keep clean to get yourself in contention to win the grand prize tonight?
Just knowing how hard it was to pass there, it was just a need to get up there. The problem is we only had 5 minutes qualifying, but my computer takes 4 minutes to load in, so it's a bummer. I missed qualifying a couple of times tonight, but to have to start from the back and make your way forward. And I was just thinking, I wish you got points to pass, but there was none of that. It was just finish up front as far as you can. And I just wanted to get up there. I was really shooting for a top 3 there when I was up front early, and thought I had something at the end there. Trent let me go, see if I had something for him, but just ran out of time.
Real quickly, anything else you'd like to add before we let you celebrate your P2 and P1 in the final 2 races of the night?
Pretty good. Just a quick shout out to Trent Gaudreau Designs, on the team this year, painting all the cars. And you guys with the broadcast, can't wait to go back and watch this. And for the next time they host another league event like this, definitely will be there.
Congratulations on the P2 in the final race of the night.
Thank you, sir.
Thomas Axum, P2, the final event of the evening in the Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series this evening. The man we talked about tonight, who came away with the overall points championship, is standing by with DJ Clark. Levi Cox, the most consistent driver of the night, comes away with the top prize, DJ.
Levi, you put in one of the most consistent performances we saw across the board tonight to take home the top prize in tonight's series. How do you feel?
I feel good. Can't complain, that's for sure.
I'm sure. I'm sure. A lot of hairy stuff behind you. Where were you most worried about it? When did you know that this was within reach? I guess is the way to say it.
Stafford was definitely the worst race of the series. I didn't. We were all kind of confused a little bit on which room we were supposed to join. Missed qualifying. I think I started like 19th or something. Pretty much involved in every single wreck in some way, and ended up sixth. So once we come out there in sixth place, I felt a lot better about my chances after starting way back in the field there. I knew I ran like maybe 10, 12 laps there, not a whole lot. I thought I was just going to run just Richmond for a guy. He said he wasn't going to be able to make them. So I thank Charles Johnson and Area 51 for giving me this opportunity to come run with these guys. And it was a good night. Paid off.
Indeed, it did. Indeed, it did. A nice little bonus to you for your racing tonight. Anybody you want to thank besides the guys you just did?
Larry Yingling, he was crew chiefing for me all night, just kind of keeping my head in order. And thank you guys for the broadcast and Maconi setup shop. Uh, just a just a good deal all the way around. Wish could have had some more green flag runs, but this thing was kind of put together not last minute, but these guys hadn't raced together a whole lot, so it turned out pretty well. Can't complain there, and just appreciate all the people that put it on.
Well, we were certainly happy to cover it from our end. Levi, congratulations once again.
Thank you very much. Y'all have a good night.
Once again, that's Levi Cox, your overall points champion for the inaugural running of the Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series. Jeff Maconi now joins the broadcast booth. Jeff, first major event once again for the Maconi Setup Shop. Now that it's wrapped up with the racing action, what are your thoughts on this evening?
Well, we definitely learned a lot along the way, and there was some stuff that we could have been better on, and there was a lot of stuff that we did right, though. And at the end of the night, a lot of drivers came out of it having a lot of fun, and that's what's about. A lot of drivers came out of here winning some money. And at the end of it, we all had a really good time. We worked through the things that we had to work through, but man, was it a really fun night! And everyone did such a great job that I couldn't be happier. Speaking for myself and speaking for the entire team behind the scenes, we were all ecstatic with the turnout at the end of it, and people commenting at the end saying, yeah, there were some things, but overall we had a lot of fun. And that'll happen with the first event. This is the first time Maconi Setup Shop has put on an event. We learned a lot, and when we come back for future events, it's going to be even bigger and better.
What are some of the things fans should expect if they see a super series such as this in the future?
Well, we're looking at possibly mixing up not only multiple tracks, but also multiple cars running on different nights. So you might see the Legends at one place, and then on a different track, you'll have the super late models. So we rewarded drivers here that were able to run well over different tracks. And next time we're going to reward drivers who can take anything thrown at them, different tracks, different weather conditions, different cars, and work for the future, and basically make this an opportunity for people to show off their talents. What can we throw at you, and what can you overcome, and just see what drivers are capable of and who's really the best of the best. Because man, there were some really, really good drivers out there. Some of them got caught up with some unlucky situations, but I don't think there was anyone out there that didn't have something to show and wasn't out there fighting for position and making passes at one point or another.
Absolutely. We've seen a lot of drivers charge their way to the field many times tonight, but I believe there were a lot of partners who helped make this happen for tonight. Who would you like to thank for being a part of this event and for helping make this event happen?
Absolutely. First and foremost, thank you to all the sponsors and the whole team behind the scenes. Chris Apgar was a huge help. Dylan Kopech was a huge help, both of them, in getting everything together. I was able to sort of take the position of marketing the event, getting everything organized, and making sure everyone paid. And Dylan was able to do all the race control, communication, and stuff like that. And then Chris Apgar was able to get all the sessions going and basically handle anything that was thrown at him when we had to call an audible, those guys were right there and able to make so much happen. So that was really a lot of fun working with them, and I can't possibly thank them enough. Thank you to our other sponsors as well. Sousa Media, Kyle Sousa, for jumping on board with us and sponsoring the first event at Richmond. That was a huge help, and that helped increase the payout for tonight's event. Midwest Motor Customs as well for providing paint schemes to the winner over at Stafford. That was really cool to have them jump on. And then Maconi Setup Shop jumped on and did Iowa Speedway and New Hampshire race as well by Area 51 Racing. Was absolutely phenomenal. So thank you to the sponsors. Thank you to the team behind the scenes. Thank you to all the drivers that participated. We're going to get feedback. We're going to be better for the next one. But for a first event and for any event, really, I think this was really a phenomenal start. And I hope every driver out there had just as much fun as I did and just as much fun as the whole team did in organizing the event.
Congratulations on tonight's event, and congratulations overall for everything that happened this evening for you and the Maconi Setup Shop and your whole entire team for this event. Once again, thank you very much for the time, Jeff.
Thank you, Justin, and thank you to you guys for such an amazing broadcast. I was listening in, again, just absolutely stellar stuff from the Global SimRacing Channel. So make sure you're subscribed and following along on Facebook, Twitter, and everywhere else, because there's some really great content here with GSRC.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much. That's Jeff Maconi, once again, the owner and founder of Maconi Setup Shop, as well one of the main organizers of the Summer Super Series. With that, DJ, your final thoughts on the first ever Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series, especially that in it, what we've seen just about had it all tonight, to say the least.
It really did. There was a lot of strategy trying to figure out to run high, run low. There's obviously the little bit of bumping and rubbing that you see in short tracks, as well as just some superior driving from all of these guys. And I have to tell you, the thing that makes me most excited about all of this is Jeff saying that there are going to be more of these, because this was a great display of short track driving, and I can't wait to see what Maconi Setup Shop can put together for the next one.
Absolutely. An interesting event tonight, a good concept, and in the end, some great drivers charged their way to the front. But in the end, it's Levi Cox with a consistency that helps him take home the overall points title for the first ever Maconi Setup Shop Summer Super Series in the $100 grand prize tonight. With this time, we'd like to take the time to thank Maconi Setup Shop and the rest of the sponsors who came on board, including Apgar Esports, along with Sousa Media, Midwest Motor Customs, along with Area 51 Racing League for sponsoring tonight's action. We'd like to take the time to congratulate Levi Cox in the overall championship, as well as many of your race winners tonight. Kenny Zines for race 4, Tyler Wood for race 2, race 3's Thomas Axum, and race 1, which went to Billy Jelinas tonight. We'd also like to take the time to thank you, the fans, for watching tonight's exciting racing here from the virtual Richmond Raceway, along with Stafford Speedway, along with the Mediera tracks tonight. I'd like to take the time to thank the companies who provide the software and hardware for broadcast listed now up on your screen. Additional thanks to Jude Lawn, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of our great work. Thanks to the team today that featured DJ Clark and Sean Ambrose. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including the upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. If you'd like to support the channel, you can check out the merchandise for sale at gsrc.stormvy.com, or check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Don't forget to head over to our YouTube page and hit that big red subscribe button so you don't miss a moment here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Be sure to stick around, because in less than 10 minutes, it will be the BRL Grand National Series taking place in the Global SimRacing Channel. Be sure to tune in as that series heads to its closing stages. Some of the drivers you just seen, including Kenny Hibby, will be on the track in less than 10 minutes or so. There's also upcoming races for other series listed on your screen, so check those out as well and mark them down your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track. We hope to also see you at Thompson Speedway in less than 10 minutes.